Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Culture, I can see you playing air drums. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the program. It is Hump Day. It is time for Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I am Tom Connors. We have the boss man, Andre, here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Greetings, everyone. Glad to be here. And with a full panel for the first time in 2 weeks. Yay. Fantastic.
Indeed. Yes. Our fuzzy friend, Culture Casino, is back. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me back. And yeah, I was air drumming in the background.
Yeah. How are the Bigfoots?
You know, they're a little bit harder to find than you would think.
He did not catch me a baby Bigfoot.
I looked for him.
And I told him they're easy to catch. See, the big ones are harder to catch. I get it. The small ones, though, their feet are too big for their bodies. So they run like this. So they're easy to catch.
I tried, Tom.
They can't get their feet in front of the other. So they shuffle.
Okay, but like
midgets.
I wasn't given an opportunity.
They're legally midgets.
All right.
I've said midget now 3 times before the first 5 minutes of the show, so we're probably demonetized. Hello, Paul. Speaking of midgets.
Hi.
I love the shirt.
The shirt's great. Shirt's great.
One of the problems with having a son who's a mechanic is that you get these endless shipments of car parts.
I thought it was a baby seat at first.
No, it's a racing seat.
It's an adult seat. That's what it is.
It's like it's just nonstop. Like we're trying to clear the house of stuff, and I'm telling you, it's just.
You got enough parts to build a few race cars now?
Oh my God! What's
certainly got parts for one hell video game chair.
There you go. Yeah, that's a great thing.
No, it would.
There you go.
It would make a very good expensive video game chair.
Build a hydraulic chair thingy, yeah.
It's expensive. Yeah. Anyways, so that's what I'm dealing with.
It looks expensive. Looks about as expensive as your shirt.
This is my wife got this for me. It's very
you're very proud of your shirts, and I like to put them
I won't be seeing you on Friday, by the way.
Mm.
This is my that I'll be going out. It's weather permitting in a World War II biplane. My wife got me a ride on my birthday.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I have to say, she gets you the best presents.
Yeah,
she does.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's okay. We've got a replacement for you already. Pro will be sitting in for you. I had you pre-replaced.
Thank you. So Friday, I'm not available.
So yes, the Pro is supposed to be joining us Friday anyway. So have fun flying, Paul. And also joining us, another Canadian we have here is Script Doctor, who
very
has
talented Canadian, very
a
funny.
plain blue Star Trek med shirt.
Yeah, it's called a smock.
And I'm going to smock you for it. No. How you doing this morning?
So wait, was Spock was wearing a schmuck?
No, Bones was wearing a smock.
Oh, that's right.
Bones was. He has the short sleeves, yeah.
I'm doing okay. I'm in job competition right now. I spent most of last night on a Zoom call talking with a potential employer why I'm the best fit for this project that they're working on.
Ooh.
And it just went way later than I wanted it to, but it's a competition now. It's basically down to me and a couple other candidates, and it's like, nail biting.
Wrestling match to finish it off, you think?
I did suggest such a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
they have not confirmed or denied that as a possible option.
See,
So we're
There you go.
waiting to see.
it's a good thing. See. So yeah, needless to say, in the last couple
We need
days,
more online Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yes, we do.
I just wanted to take a moment to address something. One of our panelists on Midnight's Edge After Dark has suffered a tragedy. Clobbering Times, aka Mike Alonzo, had a mild heart attack Sunday and also hit his head. So he is on ventilation right now. There's a GoFundMe set up for his family. I'm sure the mods will be sharing that. But good news is yesterday he did open his eyes, but we haven't heard any more updates yet. But as long as he's hanging in there, that's good news. So keep up the thoughts and prayers, guys. I just wanted to take a moment to say something for Clobby here. We do miss him and need him back. So hurry up and get better, my friend. But with that, Andre, I'm sure we have some super chats to kick off the day. Like Dr. Longdongler sending in a £1.99 with a thumbs up to remind you to pound that thumbs up. Thank you for that. We got Ruby Hoove gifting a membership. Thank you for that, Ruby Hoove.
I pound
Marksman 11
every day.
Oh, I'm
but
sure you do.
I have to take Viagra first. I'm old.
For hours. Marksman 11-7B says Paul now has that 100-yard Vietnam vet stare.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, from that video I posted last night, right after watching
Acolyte.
Acolyte 3. Everyone said I looked like I had a prisoner stare.
Shell shocked.
Yes.
Well, we're going to get into all that business.
Yeah.
But we also have with us SFX F314 Sabretooth Raptor, who says Star Wars is smurfed. Yeah, he doesn't want to swear.
Yeah.
Well, he just did. Remember, smurfed means pretty much anything you want it to mean. It's all in the infliction, from what I understand.
True.
So, yeah, we
Go
probably
smurf
did swear.
yourself.
I'd like to smurf her.
Yeah, it's funny after the night after Kathleen Kennedy put a final nail into Star Wars, her husband was out there saying, "Way to go, Indiana Jones, for being 43 years old today." Then he hashtagged or added Disney in it. And I'm like, dude, Disney destroyed the shit. But anyway, Pinochet's Helicopter Tour has been a member for 34 months. Says, I'd like to apologize for my treatment of Ryan Roundhead Johnson. Didn't appreciate his 13-dimensional string theory chess till now. Thank you, Ryan. I still wouldn't give him no credit.
Well, you could give him credit, but I wouldn't give him any apologies. I mean, just because
spoiled meat is
something
still just as bad as rancid meat. Either way you eat it, you're going to get sick.
Yeah, just because something else, something sucks doesn't mean that something else doesn't suck. So, yeah, if that makes sense.
It's the theory.
No,
of
it makes
stuff.
complete sense. Yeah, and then Mexican Iron Man's in the house. How you doing, Mikey?
Hey, Mikey.
Says, I better not hear any negative Star Wars talk as I do tax and loan client work this morning, but just in case, I will say good morning, bigots. Hello. Yeah. So that's kind of the big news besides the show itself, which we're going to get into. As Unknown sends in a member milestone for 6 months and says, shit, Clown Wars. Yeah, pretty much. Dash Attack is a VTuber EN, sends in a member for chat for 26 months and says, more Force Children cheapens everything George did. Rage bait show. The whole franchise is a joke to Kennedy. So glad Clobby is recovering. Prayers. Well, we hope so. So keep the thoughts and prayers going for him.
It's not so much a joke. I mean, they own it. And I've talked about this before, and I mentioned in my review that's coming out today, is that Disney can do anything they want with it. And we don't own it.
That's right. But we can also walk away.
And yeah, absolutely. And it's a question of choices, and they've made choices. I mean, his script will confirm writing is about making choices and doing the best job you can. And hopefully the consequences vector is wide enough that you're actually feeling the tension and the consequences are significant. So,
remember, George Lucas set this idea up in episode 1, and I warned people then, and I'm warning them now: a bad writer or a disingenuous one will make that idea the worst thing that ever happened to the franchise.
Yeah, but and on top of that, we don't want things to stay the same. We do want new ideas, but if the new ideas don't work,
you gotta move on to another new idea until one that does. That's just how it works.
Yep. It's
And as Geary Starchild points out here, 23% audience review. Any thoughts? Wow. I think
we're
that's
just talking about it now, right?
Yeah, and then Reggie Reg, I think is what it's supposed to be, with $2, says this episode needed Jedi Master cholesterol. Oh, because of the Jedi diabetes all over it. So let's get into this talk here so I can go get some breakfast. What did you guys think of the Star Wars Acolyte Episode 3, The End of the Jedi?
Let's begin with Cultured Casino, because you've been out hunting Sasquatch, relaxing, looking for a baby Sasquatch, not finding it. Then you come back to this. So yeah, that's one way to return from vacation. So what kind of shock was it?
It was a shock. I mean, I after episode 1 and 2, I didn't think it could get worse. It did. Not quite as worse as we were told by some of the people who claimed to have seen it early, but it was still pretty worse. And I'm using the word intentionally wrong on purpose. But it felt, it wasn't just boring. It felt like, as Scriptwood describing it, it felt like just the exploitation of a bad idea, and they took it to the worst possible conclusion.
Yeah.
The show was always headed for the lowest common denominator. It's aimed at people who A, don't really have any real understanding of Star Wars, B, aren't maybe familiar with the source material that they're pulling from, and C, don't realize that anything coming out of the Let's Get High Republic is already tainted, full of bad ideas and, agenda-driven garbage. This kind of just pulled it all together. And, if you ever had any doubt about the Force being female, post George, you've just figured it out now.
Well, except they killed them all.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing.
Well,
this Disney habit, like, you know what? I actually wouldn't have mind if the witches stuck around and became another entity that they could work with. But they just they went into the coven oven.
Well, but they did. That coven of witches, I imagine, is related to the bologna sauces witches that were in the other galaxy.
What were the other witches called?
I don't care.
From Ahsoka.
I don't know.
Was it not the witches from Dathomir or something like that?
I don't know, but it like you said, and I'm not convinced that they're dead. I'm convinced maybe they got knocked out.
They were crispy. They were oven coven.
Oh, so wait a minute. So Force Dyad Nexus. Oh, by the way, this is all the talking points that were distributed to the Disney shills to use the word, Force Nexus and, other things in their reviews and such. But the interesting thing was that I don't believe that activist. Oh, that's brilliant. I don't believe that they were crispy. I didn't see that, but if they were, that's fine. Oven baked witch. That seems.
If this person really knew what they were doing, it would be actovist.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't see that they were crispy either.
Yeah, but I do, like you said. I mean, whether it's a Jim Jones event or not, clearly they were murdered by the little girl, one of the twins, and not the Jedi. So I'm like, why? So now it makes zero sense.
Sense.
Yeah, because the what was the fella that was in like force sleep coma nap time?
Corbin.
Yeah, so why did he willingly take the poison now?
No reason.
Yeah,
that's
so
part of my review.
So if you were confused watching episode 3, by the way, I'm doing my review after this show, but if you were confused by episode 3, you weren't the only one, because none of it made sense in context. And this being a flashback where we got to see Master, Trinity again. I don't even care. And Andra, whatever her name is.
Indara.
I don't really. My care is so lacking. I'm going to see how my review performs. If it doesn't perform well, I'm just done with the show. I don't care anymore. Star Wars is not just generated apathy in me. It's generated I don't care. I didn't feel anything. I watch shows and films so that I feel something, and oftentimes that's why you go see a comedy. You want to laugh. You want to feel something. I feel nothing for any of the characters that are being presented on screen. I don't care about the twins. I don't care about the story. I didn't care that all the witches died, in a fire. I didn't care that the Jedi in the
fire
previous
in
episodes
a
took a
structure made 100% of metal and rock.
No, that
Yeah.
wasn't rock. That was anthracite.
It might as well have been thermite because none of it made sense.
Yeah, what
if any-
kind of substance is that? Does it matter?
Anthracite is coal. Coal is the only kind of rocky substance that burns. That's the only way that you can explain it.
So clay coal.
They made it out of barbecue material.
Remember, they're women. They're not masons, so they thought it was rock, and they
Right.
carved it up, and they're witches. Yeah.
What makes you think she's a witch?
They call themselves witches.
So wait, when they were
No,
carving
you're
it,
supposed to respond. She turned me into a newt. Well, it got better.
so when you
Sorry.
So wait a minute. When you're carving this up, there's no chance that carving that elaborate structure ever sparked at all at any point in time.
Well,
I guess not.
Well, aren't you supposed to burn witches? That's what I learned from Monty Python.
Well,
Sorry,
there
I'm
you
just
go.
saying.
It's both a combination of being embedded into some kind of rock face with bricks, with door jambs made of metal, rusting metal. And the whole thing ignited like insane. And they had some weird electrical grid that I have no idea what they were doing with it.
They had an electrical grid, but they didn't use it to light things. They instead used oil lamps of some sort.
See, and I think they missed an opportunity in that scene to play like a modern rock tune. I think Dracula would have worked perfect for that scene. You got to dig through the ditches and
Burn to the witches.
Yeah, I think that would have been great.
I like their Broadway tune. One power, two power, the power of one, the power of two.
Did you see?
Which is also stupid.
I'm gonna scissor you.
Yeah.
Did
Sorry,
you see?
I'll let you finish.
No, I was going to ask you, Paul. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Did you see Chris Gore's? Did you see Chris Gore's beautiful meme to go along with that Broadway tune?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic. The power.
I don't know
of one,
if we can show it on YouTube legally.
Oh, that one with the hand. Oh yeah, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it, but I just thought that was brilliantly conceived. Like you said, and to wrap up my portion of reviewing this.
Yeah, then they're going to introduce a new lesbian Jedi named Kit Fister.
Oh, okay. Well, we already have we have cholesterol.
No, he's got Jedi diabetes.
You have Jedi Canestra that Paul brought up the other day. That's Leslie Heston's wife.
I have to ask you, why would you cast your wife if she is embarrassingly poor actress?
Because you want to have a happy home.
Exactly.
Correct.
This would not be the first time.
I mean, it's true that lesbians lead the way in domestic violence. So perhaps, that's a good way to go about avoiding that.
Based on the fact that our company had a lesbian charity, we contributed money and donations, and I went to their yearly Christmas party for about 10 years. I would say you are right. Domestic violence is pretty bad. I saw it for myself. One of those secrets you don't discuss. See, I've stopped everything.
No, not at all. Like I said, I'm just gonna wrap it up and say episode 3 was more nonsensical now because of the 2 previous episodes, and those episodes are more nonsensical now because of episode 3. So hey, circular logic works for people who can't think outside of the box.
Well, there's something else to be said for that as well, because remember, this
was a good
mystery boxes all around. I mean, this is the J.J. Abrams School of Filmmaking, right? Like, we are not done with seeing exactly what happened. I'm convinced that we're going to see that it was the Jedi that killed all of those witches in the end, one way or the other. That's going to come out over the course of the next few episodes here. Because remember, mystery box after mystery box. Give some answers, but 10 more mysteries.
There's only one
mystery. What happened to the witches?
There's only one mystery box left.
It's the poison that Torben drank is going to be the poison that the Coven threatened to drink if the Jedi didn't leave, and they didn't leave, so they drank it, and the Jedi feel remorseful because they let the witches die, and then the fire and explosion happened, and that's when all this other stuff
That is so stupid. That just might be what happens.
Well, you introduced the poison aspect, and he drank it super quick. I'm like, there's Leslie Headland's the type of writer that would make a connection like that. I'm not saying it's 100% the case, but that is very likely.
No, I mean that sounds so stupid that it very well could be, but we'll see.
Did you notice in episode 2? I didn't mention it in my review, where they said that the poison has to be made from local ingredients, and I went, well, they're not on Bannock.
No,
whatever.
But the ingredients are local to Bannock, I think is how they kind of described it.
Oh, okay. I thought they meant that it was local to where they were on the planet. I'm glad I didn't make a fool of myself. So you do your review.
Yeah, please, Script. Help me understand episode 3.
Yeah, Script, talk us through it.
Well, it's one plot point, which is that Osha wants to be a Jedi, and they don't establish how she knows who the Jedi are or what they are or why they are in there. They're supposed to be in an isolated coven. This is a great episode for finding out why the rest of the world thinks witches and girls who want to be witches are stupid, because it shows you exactly what they would do, whether they have mystic powers or not. They do these chants. You have the again, I know some people would argue that Leslie Headland doesn't know Star Wars lore, but when you pull something like MEiTM and the Witches of Dathomir and you hybrid them together, you kind of know something about Star Wars. Maybe ancillary, but you know a little bit more than the average person. And yeah, taking George Lucas's bad idea of the MEiTM being manipulated to create life, therefore taking the ordinary Anakin Skywalker, who became a Dark Sith Lord of the Sith, and then slaughtered the Jedi, and then retconned him to be extraordinary from the beginning, and he just was the most powerful of evil of that time until his son rescued him. That was a bad idea, but it wasn't enough to cripple Star Wars entirely. But now you have Leslie Headland who says, well, let's just take that whole immaculate conception thing, and we'll make twins. I mean, that's what the double O and the Acolyte is. Those are the two ovums overlapping each other. That's why they did it.
Oh.
And the peculiar part is that of this entire coven that is trying to expand and grow, after 10 years or so, they only have one set of twins. They don't have other kids. If they can do this, they should be hundreds, if not thousands of children in this, because their whole point is to grow. And then the ascension is that you, one of them, Osha or May, will lead the next generation, but there is no generation after them. So they're clearly going to be a shrinking colony of witches, since even though they have this power to create more kids, they don't. So it's just a bunch of nonsense. Then the Jedi showing up like they're the Child Protective Services or the FBI, demanding to see children and claiming that they have a right. And then the lines are very hypocritical. It's just like, we have a right to investigate them, but you have a right to refuse. And it's like, well, which right supersedes the other? Like at this point, they've already said no, and then the Jedi aren't going away. And then, of course, the mother tells them to lie so that they could stay here. We don't find out.
I laughed out loud when the old crone was revealed. I howled with laughter. Yeah. Ramona can confirm. I went, oh my God, right out of Dune. Holy crap.
Lady Jessica or her predecessor.
Yeah.
And then you get this stupid scene where Osha decides to go and say hi to the Wookiee and nothing comes of it. It's just there. And like he's working on a bike for no reason. Like if he handed her the device that she used to get her escape the burning building, that would have made sense and have been a payoff. But
no. He didn't do that. In Star Wars, there's always a Wookiee working on gear. That's the law.
That's the law. Yeah.
And the thing is, that thing was, and their encampment was such a mess. It looks like one of the university protest encampments. Like,
yes.
What a messy bunch of people. And
can I say,
I figured Torben had taken the land speeder out a bunch of times and just needed tweaking. That's what I thought.
Well,
can I say one thing about that Wookiee real quick? I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry about that. But since we're on the topic of the Wookiee, before you were about to go away from it, which I heard you are right now, in the interviews with one of the writers, this was one who bragged how she had no clue about Star Wars, that she basically... She explains her interview process where she was asked by Leslie Headland, you know anything about Star Wars? It's like, yeah, it's that thing with Harrison Ford running around space with his dog or something, right? To which Leslie Headland instantly answered, you're hired.
Yes.
Is it just me, or does this Wookiee look more like a dog than Wookiees usually do, like in the face? I thought
Maybe. I
this
mean, he's played
looked
by the
more
same guy that
dog-like.
replaced Peter Mayhew.
Yeah,
So
but top knot Wookiee doesn't make sense to me. But okay.
what have you? He had a Wookiee. He was fully clothed in Jedi robes, which is weird because Wookiees generally don't wear much.
don't
They're
do that.
covered in fur. Then we find out that Torben was like a teenager 16 years ago. And then when we see him when he commits suicide, they try to make him look like an old man, but he's been also in this state for, according to the script, decades. So there's a continuity error there.
Well, maybe time goes faster inside of a Jedi force field.
Force field, yeah.
It doesn't matter if time
What did
goes
he
faster
have
for
to
him.
feel
Time on the
guilty
outside is
about?
still the same.
Script. What did he need to feel guilty about now that episode 3 has aired? Please tell me.
Nothing yet, because it's a very, very thin episode. You then also find out that May is absolutely psychotic because she's like,
she's
if you go, I'm going to if you go, I'm going to kill you. It's like, girl, that's the same outcome as if you didn't kill her. She's still gone. Like, why would you even make that threat? It's more the sense of like, if you need her there, you should be making a threat that was compel her to stay there. But they didn't do that. They just made her.
Can I add to that argument? Yeah, because from her point of view, it's kind of, the end result for her is the same, that she's still gone. But the difference, if you're sufficiently psycho, is like, if I can't have you, no one else can have you either. Yeah. I think it's that line of argumentation she was going with there.
And then we had
going with them.
Split broken bridge where the Balrog came up and took May down.
Well, that's just, I mean, that's another thing. So you find out that the Zabraki woman was the one that carried the kids, yet the kids don't have any Zabraki DNA. They all look like the mother, the other mother, which is also peculiar.
No, she just carried the fermented ovum.
True, but wouldn't it be her ovum that was fermented by the other one?
Maybe not.
Like, we don't know. There's a lot of questions raised as to how this kind of works.
Yeah, and they did not show any turkey basters.
Well, you don't need a turkey baster when you have the Force that can manipulate chemicals, fluids, and all objects.
That's true.
I mean, they just following the thread.
They have the thread, which, as described, I called it the thread talk. They invented the thread talk, and once she described it, it was exactly the same as the Force. They didn't have to rename it thread.
No, it's. I look at it the same way as the Church of England versus the Catholic Church. I mean, that's all it is. It doesn't destroy any lore. The witches of Dathomir have their own interpretation of it. It's what have you. And guess what? They're all dead now, so that interpretation dies.
Doesn't matter. That's my point.
Yeah,
that was my. Why did they kill them all? I mean, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the intriguing part of the Sith is that it's another sect of Force users that use the Force in a way that it goes against the Jedi. You can make modern variations of that and have fun with it. And yet every time, or at least in this case, that one time that they do, aside from the Witches of Dathomir, they just wipe them all out. It's like, no, we want more villains and more stuff. And this whole thing is the villain. I mean, I was talking with Literature Devil last night, and he said, like, it's not about good or evil, it's about power and who can use it. It's like that phrase is denoted by someone that is evil, because someone that identifies power as power and who gets to and who doesn't get to use it, that is an evil line of thinking. It's ironic that, I mean, there's little self-awareness at all in that regard.
Script, I agree with that. But that line, that is something that was said about. It was said by the witches, but they said it as in, this is the Jedi mindset. That their mindset is that it's about power and who gets to wield it. Does that change anything in any way?
I mean, it's the fact that they're interpreting it that way is what makes them evil, because they think that the Jedi are the ones that are all in power with regards to the Force. But that is absolutely not true, because number one, they exist. The Witches of Dathomir exists. Other people that have used the Force that are not within the Republic, they exist. It's not about that part. I mean, I will say this though: they did do the guy who plays Sol from Squid Games. He is trying his hardest to make this work.
Yes, he's reading everything phonetically. You can tell.
Exactly. But the other part too that's kind of odd is that you have this. It's a very disingenuous scene. It's basically saying like he's manipulating Osha to say, "Yes, come with us, leave your family to become a Jedi. I think it's great." It doesn't mean anything though.
No.
And that's the
that
problem.
whole
It's
scene
like,
where he goes, "Oh, forget your mother is dead. Oh, you can still be a Jedi. You can be a Padawan when we get to Coruscant." I'm like,
I will train you. It's like, oh, great,
I-
you're doing the Obi-Wan thing. Great, wonderful. You've just copied
great.
another part of Star Wars.
I always
So
wanted to be a Jedi.
Again, they've done nothing. I mean, they have this stupid willow tree. This episode is just a bunch of little vignettes that don't have as much connecting tissue. It doesn't. It's nothing there. I actually fell asleep watching it last night, and then I had to wake up and watch what I missed afterwards.
All right, I've been listening to you guys for about 30 minutes now, and I have two observations. One, this show comes off like when you play D&D with me. I will fuck up the campaign on purpose just because I'm a dick. So I'll just throw random shit out there just to make everything fucked up. Two, this whole thing's about becoming lesbian. And your family rejecting you for it.
They already
no,
are.
I know, but let me like that's my point. This whole thing's about becoming lesbian and your family rejecting you for it. That's what I hear so far. It's all a bunch of stupid shit.
Oh, you mean Osha wanting to be a Jedi is her saying I want to be gay?
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something, but I also think because there's something with the witches and the indoctrination and all of what they were saying there, and there's a lot that went into that, and there's a lot that I think is going to take like some real deciphering. And remember, I think that Dave Filoni had something to do with that, absolutely. Or rather, his wife had something to do with that, because I still haven't researched it enough that I know exactly which denomination and stuff, but I do know that his wife, Dave Filoni, the creative director of all things Star Wars right now, his wife, which has an influence on Star Wars by way of him, she self-identifies as a witch, does she not?
I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
No, like this was like a huge story before.
Dave Filoni's wife, yes.
Yes, that she is someone that is a self-proclaimed witch. Yeah. And
that
has something to do with why there is suddenly so many witches across the board in Star Wars.
But then why would she let them die off?
Yeah.
Well, to further the prosecution. I mean, it's not the power fantasy. I mean, to achieve something in real life, you have to show how persecuted they are and what bullshit that is, I guess. So people sympathize and could join the cause.
Yeah, there is a sequence where I can't remember Taylor's name, Taylor's character name, the black woman, who wasn't horrible in this, actually, to tell you the truth. She talked about how witches have been persecuted and we've been chased all over the galaxy, and now we have found a safe haven finally for our coven. And I mean, again, they made some really obvious references to being lesbian,
also they compare themselves to what's it called, the Pilgrims, the ones that went with the Mayflower to America to escape persecution in Europe. You have like those parallels right there, making themselves pure and righteous and just wanting to express their religion in peace. They traveled alone, and still the evil, oppressive patriarchy Jedi come after them and demand their kids and stuff.
Patriarchy Jedi led by a woman.
How did leader there? Why did the Jedi come to this planet to begin with if they thought it was empty? Like,
right?
Did they sense somehow that
they probably sensed something, sensed something in the Force? I mean, that's what they've always done before.
Well, then they should have at least brought some gifts when they arrived. Like, I thought it was incredibly rude.
Well, it seemed like their gift was let us test the kids and take them away. And
I was going to say, what do they need? Candy in a white van?
It seems like that was their gift, because again, remember this series right here, the Jedi are portrayed halfway as evil and as oppressors.
But they didn't come off that way here.
I
Not at all.
No. In fact, like I said, the mystery here of their murder mystery baloney sausage garbage tasticness that they're putting out there, it's not there. There's no mystery to any of this. Yeah. So who murdered the witches? Them own selves. Or,
May. May killed them.
Or May killed them. So
when she's up with Torben and she goes, I'm here because of unfinished business. What unfinished business?
Yeah.
Hey, bitch, you killed your mom.
Yeah.
Why should I feel guilty for this?
Yeah.
Like,
hey,
stupid.
Why do you have 4 targets? I mean, and why is, Soul's character one of them? I mean, nothing that you saw other than, you're there because you took my sister away.
Well, that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to. Yeah.
That's the last motivation. But I think her sister made a choice on purpose. And look, I mean, their names are silly. But if that dumb theory turns out to be true, I'm done with Star Wars forever in every way. If May the Force be with you is actually a reference to May, I'm done.
I don't think so.
I thought that was ridiculous.
Stupid.
That is
I
a
thought
good
it was
one.
ridiculous, and I thought it was ridiculous and funny. But if that actually turns out to be true,
I think that's good. But ultimately, May is a sociopath, and we can't identify with her. And if her entire motivation for unfinished business, what she's saying is her unfinished business. We're in episode 2, we were made to think that the Jedi were so evil, and Torben was racked with such guilt that he would readily take this poison to kill himself rather than facing his own demons. And instead, episode 3 just goes, wow, yeah, none of the Jedi should feel badly for anything.
Well,
I mean,
let's wait and see what happens in episode 4, 5, and 6, because I'm sure this is one of the mystery boxes.
Yeah, the last mystery box is who is the Sith. That's the last mystery box.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it can only be one of 2 people.
And the last one will be, how did all those witches die instantly?
And all in the same place.
Yep.
You think so? I think they just killed
part
them.
of me thinks it's like the Jonestown cult where they just drank from the punch bowl.
Or do the witches eventually transition into the Sith?
They like force leave their bodies.
Well, is the Sith even exist yet? That was my question, basically.
Sith have been around for millennia at this point. Yeah.
I mean,
even though these Jedi have never heard about them, seemingly.
See, that was the other thing somebody was saying. Yeah. So,
yeah, I said that. I'm the one that said that last week. I was like, wait, that's what I said in reference to Carrie Ann Moss's characters. Like, okay, so you recognize that you're dealing with a Force user, and you do not contemplate that. None of you contemplates that you might be dealing with Sith here. It's just some weird Force user. I was like, have you not heard about Sith? Have they suddenly changed history? What's going on here?
No. We know that they have. The question is what confirms them for being a Sith as opposed to just a Dark Force user? Because that's the thing. Like, even in episode 1,
wouldn't that be a Sith as somebody who's a Dark Force user?
Hold on. In episode 1, Qui-Gon Jinn fights Darth Maul, and he says, I don't know what he is, but I suspect he might be a Sith Lord. Like, he doesn't confirm it. He just says like he suspects it. We learn that later on. That is the connotation that is being used here.
The reason he says that, though, is because Yoda says that they said they've been dead for millennia. That's why.
Yeah. Which is what makes it so hard to believe or to at least assume the confirmation of such a thing is because they've been gone for like millennia. Who would be around to train them? We don't know. Therefore, we says, okay, it's a Force user that's tapped into the dark side. They have not elevated to that level yet.
Yeah, okay, I can buy that argumentation, but it would have been nice with like a Sith name drop. It's like, what are they? Can't be Sith because they've been away for millennia.
That would have been great.
Because my confusion was, have they changed history? Have they like altered canon to the point where this is the creation of Sith and they didn't exist before? Because that was my big question. I buy your argument, Script. I do buy it. Like, I agree with probably that's where they're going with this, that they just forgot about the Sith because they've been away for a millennia. But still, it just would have been nice reference to canon just to acknowledge, the Sith used to be a power back in the day, and it's something we considered and dismissed because they've been away for a millennium. That would have been my issue with that solved.
You could even have had somebody say, "Could this be Sith?" And then be like, "No, this is something different or something like that."
For
Yeah,
instance,
but anyway,
same
Not
difference.
powerful enough as from the legends, you know.
so whatever. Either way, you guys are giving me a fucking headache. Can we move on?
Well, no, there's one other piece I wanted to talk
Oh
about.
shit!
Sorry, for a bunch of witches, when the Jedi arrive, why did they have a phalanx of women pull out bows and arrows as if they were in Themyscira?
I know. It's like, yeah,
Like,
not
what?
going to stop them.
Well, you have to have
What?
your math.
Why?
Where
Where'd the bow and arrows come from? We didn't even see target
2024.
practice earlier. What?
Oh, bows and arrows are badass. They have to be badass, won't they? You think you can have like that many lesbians on set without some of them demanding to do like a Wonder Woman thing? I'm sure some of them like, hey, where's our bows and arrows? You're witches. I don't care. We want bows and arrows. We want to be like Wonder Woman here. And I'm sure there's something like that must have gone on. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. Girl
They're
power.
witches. They don't need it. They outnumbered the Jedi.
The women on set don't care. They want to be girl bosses.
This is terrible writing. They're just pulling this shit out of their asses. The other thing, too, is there was nothing stopping that, let's say, the entire beginning of the movie and the Jedi arriving because they sensed in the Force children having been born with certain skills. They could have just arrived. They didn't have to be on the planet spying.
Yeah.
Unless they were camping and they just needed some time off or something. Like, it was completely stupid. They could have, like, there was no need to have that entire encampment thing. And the women's scouts were so bad. They went, oh, they must have gone to the other side of the planet. Are you telling me that no one could have told that absolute pigsty of a mess they left around their spaceship that they couldn't have been tracked? It's just...
Well, I imagined that Leslie Headland needed some way to communicate that the Jedi are shifty people that shouldn't be trusted because they're spying on them in advance.
And they're messy.
Yeah, that too.
And they're unbelievably messy.
As opposed to the clean and pure witches that have these nice recruitment songs and everything. So, ladies in the audience, you should go find your own local coven and join up with them.
So they're kind of like the Girl Scouts.
And the two girls, the twins, had their ribbon belt at exactly the same spot. They had the same hair. And are you telling me that when you're a kid, you have the same hair as when you grow up? Like, I mean, it's just so silly. It goes against everything that you would do as a kid, right? You would have a completely different hairstyle.
Especially for a girl. My girlfriend doesn't have the same hairstyle she had when I started dating her. She's gone through like 3 different versions. And that's just in 4 years. Like, that's my mom and sister, the same thing. They'd like to change their looks.
And there's only one rule when you're going out with someone or you're married: never let them get a perm. That's
right.
But gentlemen, remember this series had a budget of 180 million per episode. Now, how are they supposed to pocket that if they have to spend so much money on giving all this unique looks and stuff like that? Is it much cheaper to get like something generic and mass produce that and then pocket the savings?
Well, it's not 180 million per episode.
Yeah. Well, no, sorry, the series. So that was all
the series,
180 million. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, well, my point exactly then. I mean, you only have so much money to spend, right? Here you are making a Star Wars series. So that fine, we can do all of them individually and spend loads of money on that, or we can just have this one hairdresser come and do them all like this one style, save some money and pocket the rest. I mean, I'm sure you have to consider these things.
Yeah, there's no.
I mean, there might not be a season 2. They know this. They have to get it while the getting's good. If you have to make some on-screen compromises, then yeah.
I just don't know how they're going to make May sympathetic now that we know she's a sociopath.
Right.
Probably she's not meant to be sympathetic for us because we are normal people. She's meant to be sympathetic for the people making this, who are probably sociopaths themselves.
Interesting. that what she's done isn't so bad. It's
from their
it's
point of view.
I mean, they're gonna try and justify it as that the Jedi killed their mothers, and it's like, well, if you have to come up with a very clever way to show that, because what we've seen so far would suggest that it wasn't the Jedi that did this. So,
and Saul came out of nowhere. Another Deus, one of many Deus Ex Machina moments where he comes into the Coven's cave and rescues Osha. Like, why was he there? Like, there's no reason for him to be there. It's just another writing of convenience.
Well, he was expensive. They have to fill him in. They have to put him some screen time. I mean, he learned English and everything. They have to shove him in whenever they can. I mean, I hate to be devil's advocate here, but I'm sure that's the argumentation behind this. And again, sympathetic characters. This was written by Leslie Headland, Harvey's personal assistant, who uses this whole series to stick it to her sister.
The thing that maybe stands out the most to me is that they gave Lee Jun-jae a BTS haircut.
You know, when I first saw him in stills, I thought he was another list.
No one knows what BTS is in the panel here. Maybe I'll change that line in my script.
Yeah, we might have to expand upon that or spell it out.
Paul,
are you talking about the K-pop group?
Yeah, the Korean K-pop group. Yeah. If you guys don't get it, then it's going to go over everyone's head in my script. So I might.
I mean,
I don't listen to K-pop. I'm not a 12-year-old kid.
Well, no, but BTS is monstrous.
They're. I would still leave that in. You're gonna get that massive audience. And then I would put that in your tags on your video so people know you talked about BTS.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, it's funny. The 70-year-old man on the panel is the one who is most up to date with modern culture and what the kids are listening to these days. So yeah, kudos to Paul. You probably leave it in and do not use us as the best of judges for that.
Yeah, maybe
I'm sure
you're right.
The kids on TikTok are gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in my 50s. I have obviously, and I run a pop culture channel, so I definitely have no connection with anything.
But Script is the greatest obscure expert I know.
I'm pretty obscure, but even that one got me. And I'm in my 30s, but again, I have South Korean step siblings, and even I don't know what K-pop is, and I'm not even a big fan of most Pacific Island.
You know what? I will make sure that I put in a picture of BTS in the video as a.
Then
slide.
you're good. Then everyone will
help.
get it. Yeah,
that would help. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That will help.
You guys are great.
Thank you. We know.
I test all my jokes on you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we may not be the best test audience for that either, but okay, Paul.
Well, we might not be the worst either, because we get some worthwhile feedback anyway.
It is. Speaking of worthwhile feedback, didn't you guys just release a video about this terrible Star Wars thing?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we put up a video that dropped just about the same time as the episode was released. It was, of course, written in the hours before, and Tom did amazing in rushing it through in as fast as a video possibly can.
Well, I got a little help from Pablo, but
yeah, the two of you did amazing with that. So yeah, no, we did drop a video, and this was, of course, about the gaslighting in the media, more specifically about how Inverse, which have a most apt name considering the content of the article, was all about how the fans are evil and stupid. But it's just a tiny, tiny little minority like us who actually speak out against this stuff, ruining it for the vast majority of all the other fans who are greatly enjoying this. You know, the huge numbers of fans that really make this series blow up in all of the ratings worldwide, making it #1 on Disney Plus and everything like that, on the failing streaming service that is Disney Plus. And about that, I just heard that WEW Pro state that episode 3 probably is going to increase in viewership. I agree, just because people want to stop and see the car wreck, and then it's going to implode completely after that. But there's more people who are running service of Disney here. Grace Randolph
what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
Yeah, and that would be, she put out a tweet that we have on screen. And for those that are only listening, what it says here is, this is Grace Randolph saying, I will say that I think it's going to be very hard for Disney to cast upcoming Star Wars projects because this level of hate just isn't worth it, even for up-and-coming actors. Like poor Lee Young-jae, coming off of Squid Game, doing a great job on The Acolyte, and for what? So, Paul, let's begin with you. Have you seen much hate for poor Lee Young-jae, which Grace Randolph suggests that he must be flooded with hate?
None. I would suggest that it's nothing but praise or sympathy.
Why did they try to make him look so much like a lesbian?
I wonder this as well, because I seriously, when I first saw that still, the one that we put in the thumbnail from a week ago, which is of him and Leslie Headland's wife, when I made that thumbnail, I thought it was another lesbian woman because of the haircut.
And they just made him look so puffy. They didn't do a really good job of elevating him in any kind of star quality. I don't think the colors are good on him. But I think he's worked really, really hard on this role.
Well, they're kind of going, and this is where I can probably pipe in a little bit. This whole thing of pushing the idea that people are being mean to the actors and that it's all our fault that this is bad and it's not the writers in any way, shape, or form. This is like the biggest bunch of gaslighting.
Oh, yeah. World. But who's been mad at him?
Nobody necessarily.
And
but this is the same playbook that they used before, right? Go ahead, Culture, because I figure that's where you're going anyway.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I was going. But yes, they're just running this same exact playbook. And when I responded back to Shilly McShillerson here, Grace Randolph, I quote tweeted her and said, "Look, where are the hordes of people attacking this man? I can find nothing. Where
like Kelly Marie Tran and
where is this? You have to push back on Shills. Like you said, she already got her talking points, and she cannot pronounce Qui-Gon Jinn. And she really doesn't understand Star Wars at all. And it blows my mind that she's going to loop back to the same playbook that Tom was alluding to, and just say, well, it's going to be hard to cast Star Wars again because nobody's going to... Bullshit. Everybody wants a paycheck right now. Ask anybody who's working in Hollywood. They're desperate. The number of shows have been reduced drastically. The number of films have been cut drastically. The strike did not help out anybody in Hollywood. In fact, it actually is going to decrease the amount of job availability that you've imagined. Plus, AI is going to come and take a healthy dose of reality, from it's going to change your reality anyway. And there's real problems on the horizon for those of you who are in Hollywood. So Grace doesn't want to look at the reality of the situation. I mean, look, am I wrong? I mean, okay, please tell me why.
The problems in Hollywood are not going to be affecting the people with talent and skill. That's the problem.
Well, right, but it's definitely going to affect anybody on the outside. And there are, correct, I know I'm not wrong about this, there are fewer films and shows being made.
Don't care. We don't need that many shows. That's the problem. That's how we got to this thing.
I agree with you.
That
but
seems
the problem
more
is
like a course correction, not actually a detriment to the system.
Okay, but that belies I'm going to say this script, and it's just a little pushback.
Sure, go for it.
Leslie Headland's got this job. Is she not going to get another job? Because I wouldn't say she wanted after this.
I doubt she's going to be working very much longer after this, actually.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Unless it's for Disney. Like, Disney's the only one that's holding out. And guess what? They can't support all the people that are complaining about Hollywood. And guess what? When you take a look at who's complaining about Hollywood, it's not the guys who made Breaking Bad. It's not the guys who did Better Call Saul. It's not Noah Hawley. It's not Ryan Condal of House of the Dragon. It's not Aaron Sorkin. It's not Quentin
Aaron
Tarantino.
Sorkin's going to get hired forever. I mean,
well,
come on.
that's the thing is these
Yeah.
are people with talent. They are not hurting, and that's
She
the
does
good-
have a mini series coming up, but I will say that I agree that with Andre's assessment that she's being set up to take the fall for this thing once it goes down.
Of course,
Because somebody's head's gonna have to fucking roll, and it's gonna be that square-headed bitches.
it's gonna be her first, and then it's gonna be followed by Filoni, and then others will start to follow.
Exactly.
Which
Yeah,
means
that's,
she'll be untouchable in Hollywood. That's where I understand where he's coming from, Culture. I mean, I agree with you otherwise for the most part, but like Headland's gonna take the fall for this. Right? Like this is
but that's what scripts were saying.
That's
He
fine.
won't be
But
working after this.
that's only like that's basically like having cancerous, limb and only chopping off your finger. Like, what good is that going to do? You got to get rid of the whole goddamn limb. It's still going to spread. And that's what we've had from day one with this whole fucking thing. If you go all the way back to J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson, whichever one you want to pick, because I will still maintain that after The Force Awakens, there was something you could have picked up and moved on with. But from the point of The Last Jedi on, you're screwed. And then the same thing goes on the television side of things. Things were great through the second season of Mandalorian. It's when Kathleen Kennedy come in and decided to change things that things are now to this point where you're unfixable. Like, and I said this last night. I was like, Star Wars is in this place now where it is fucked. There is no unfucking this thing. Well, Star Trek, some of these other franchises, they have a chance. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Star Wars, no, it has been snuffed out. There is no way of fixing this until it gets bought by somebody else or they have a complete change of regime. And not only Disney, but Lucasfilm itself, like from top to fucking bottom. And that's when you actually have somebody who has the balls to come in and say, yeah, we fucked up. We're going to go back and we're going to fix some things. And basically that means anything that's happened since the sale is completely null and void. And that's never going to fucking happen. Never.
No, not unless someone else buys Star Wars. And guess what? That's going to be...
Which is what I said, yeah.
Exactly, to your point. It's going to be more expensive to buy it in the current next 20 years than it was for Disney to buy it originally because it's so integrated into the company.
So what people are doing now is they're watching the fucking train wreck. They're watching the train wreck happen, and it's glorious because we've been waiting for this moment. This episode 3 is the moment that everybody's been waiting for, and I'm proud to say I didn't sit through it and watch it, right? Because to me, I feel like, okay, it's done. It's over with. I already knew this. I didn't waste my fucking 3 hours or 2 hours of my life or whatever it is that these episodes ended up filling up. Because they're only half-hour episodes, right? Or are they hour episodes? I don't even know anymore.
No, they're 44.
So they're technically around an hour. So yeah, so roughly 2.5 hours of my life or 2 hours of my life, whatever.
Yeah, 44 minutes in this last one, and it felt every minute of it. And most of it was, on the previous episode, on the past episode.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shut up.
I'm going to put a theory. I'm going to put an assertion out. I want to hear you guys come after me for this. Is that, and someone else used this term. I didn't come up with it. So far, Acolyte feels very Disney CW.
Oh, it is. It's worse than CW.
But no, well,
I agree completely.
Well, hold on. There's a certain weird entertainment value to the crappy CW stuff. The Ahsoka was worse than this, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
This is weirdly dumb, but it's which level of Dante hell are we talking about here? But Ahsoka was like beyond dreadful. It was just one horrific thing after another. Whereas there are moments here that I've kind of enjoyed.
There's a lot less stills. There's a lot less stopping and just long shots of a person staring off into space. There's like very little of that in Acolyte. There's way too much of that in Ahsoka.
So you're kind of in my camp there.
Yeah, because
you haven't disowned me.
No, I brought it up last week. I said the one beneficial aspect to Acolyte, and it's not a great beneficial, is that it's a Star Wars. It's not a Star Wars story about Star Wars. There's something else going on here. That's to its benefit. That's its only point above Ahsoka, as far as I'm concerned. And guess what? There's five more episodes for it to get worse. So we don't know yet.
It's true. I'm just saying so far.
Yeah, so far I agree with that.
Well, okay, so here's a point that was made in my chat today on my show before we got started here. And it was a wise point that I agree with. There were moments of the Boba Fett show that had worse episodes than this one. There were a couple of episodes in Book of Boba Fett that were worse than this.
You sure?
Ahsoka is well, again, I didn't like those episodes either. Book of Boba Fett was terrible. I think they destroyed that actor's, life, but that's a whole other conversation. And again, it's not the fans that are attacking these actors and actresses. It's they're attacking the writing. And Hollywood will eventually, unfortunately, look at some of these very poor performances and make decisions based on that. Daisy Ridley's recent film, I think, was only put out in theaters just so it could make, awards season. I don't think that the swimming across the channel thing that came out that didn't make any money is it was released for any other reason. And you're going to do that from time to time. You're going to release an Oscar bait film or an award bait film. But what's her career been since Star Wars?
Normal female actor,
She's been working.
Basic. Yeah, she's working, but it's basic. She's not a tentpole. She's not a draw.
Right.
She's a dramatic actor of a certain tier. So that's it. But has Star Wars really elevated any actor aside from Harrison Ford or even Liam Neeson?
No, and even Liam Neeson was already a star.
And I would also say that Harrison Ford was going to be a star anyway.
He was already a star because he was the big star in that movie.
Well, he was the biggest name in that movie because of Schindler's List, but it wasn't until after Star Wars where he started getting the action movies that kind of made him more of the household name.
He was still pretty big.
Dramatic actor prior. And he was doing it in very low budget, artsy, dramatic actor films. And then when he went mainstream with action and Taken and all those things, that's when people started knowing who he was.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm going to keep saying, like, Ewan McGregor, formed a career after Star Wars.
He also had a very strong trajectory before Star Wars.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, well, Ewan and both of them. Like, yeah, that's where I'm not so sure on that one. But
he made some really duds after that too. But regardless, I like I said, I'm looking at the actors that are working in these projects, and I'm like, did you just doom your career? I think that's more likely the outcome than it is fans hating on them. You're going to want a paycheck. That's ultimately that's how we got started on this conversation. Ultimately, if you're a working actor, you want to work.
Yeah,
so you're going to take the paycheck. And if it's terrible, you can point at the writers and say, I did what I could with what I had. And look at my other body of work and judge me there. And they're in a better situation if that's the case. But it is what it is.
Get attached to things. Band members get attached to it. I remember an interview with Robert Plant, of all people, and he said that when he was doing that Led Zeppelin thing, which I think you guys have heard of, right?
Yes.
Led Zeppelin, yeah, vaguely.
Vaguely. He said, I filled stadiums, and then I went out on my own. I couldn't fill a coffee house. And this is Robert Plant. And I mean, I felt that too on a much smaller scale with the Frantics, as the Frantics could fill a 400 to 500 seat theater no matter where we went. But then when I started going out on my own, and Paul Chato of the Frantics, like, no one gave a shit. People really do attach you to the larger entity. And that's going to happen with a movie also. That's just the nature of the game. People like your, the thing that they got to know you with, your origins. That's what they like. There are actors and actresses that are able to break out of that kind of cycle and give themselves a career.
There are, but they're few and far between.
For one person, in one case. Yeah.
Now, the Star Wars curse, generally, from my recollection and observation, comes from those who have gotten their start in Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's generally where it seems like you have no hope afterwards. Because like Natalie Portman's another good example in the prequels where she was already somewhat pre-established. She's fine ever since. But now Jake Lloyd, Ahmad Best, a lot of the other people who got their start in Star Wars either had no start careers. I mean, even Hayden Christensen struggled.
Star Wars.
Yeah, but after that, what's he done? That's the point.
His parents pulled him out of the industry after Star Wars.
Yeah.
But so you're going to make the argument that Jake Lloyd was some kind of actor / star because he was in one fucking movie.
I never said
but
that.
yet Liam Neeson was in Rob Roy and a bunch of this other
nobody
shit
said.
before.
I never
say
said
that.
anything of that nature at all.
All right. Well, anyway, we need to see what these super chats are all about. Anyway, let's see what you guys are talking about. We got Israel Fury, who sends in 99.99 South African Rand, says, "Wait until they spin how May, who tried to murder her sister by burning her alive, is redeemable."
Yeah, that's going to be key. They got to redeem her.
Yeah. And then we're losing culture here. Did we have any super specifically for him? Let me double check real quick while you plug your business, Culture.
Well, certainly. Yeah, do check out my channel, Culture Casino on YouTube, Rumble, Minds, Odyssey, Getter, and of course X, which I still call Twitter. And yeah, I'm going to be recording my thoughts on episode 3. You've heard a little of it, but not as much. And the fact that, well, Grace definitely stepped over a line here. And we've got, of course, a slate of Acolyte-related articles over on Inverse that obviously Midnight's Edge used, and so on and so forth. But regardless, this series is going to be a splat. I think episode 3 was going to be the highest of the viewing numbers. And I think that things are going to go not so well for Star Wars in the future. So if we're talking redeemable or not, it's not redeemable. And thank you, Pinochet.
Speaking of Grace Randolph, Pinochet sends in $2 and says, "Without evidence, Randolph asserts actors attacked." There's your next headline, Culture.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. Actors attacked, I don't see it. Show me. We have this big problem. We're going to continue to have it.
And here's one for you from Mizzy Buddy. For 18 months, says, "As much as I love ridiculing Disney Star Wars, it makes me very sad. Very, very sad. Also great to have you back, Culture." He didn't bring me a Bigfoot, though. Don't let him off the hook.
I tried. I tried. I did see bears. I wrestled a bear. I have video evidence.
You are obsessed with this bear, but I don't know who this man is. And I'm not so sure.
It's like an actual bear, the animal bear, not a person bear.
No, you better than that.
I'm going to go
to Alaska just to find a gay bear.
I'm going to go. I love all of you guys. Thanks for checking me out. And
take care,
Latino Slant couldn't be more wrong. See you later.
All right. And then with that, we got some more super chats here. We've got SFXF314 Sabretooth Raptor sending in $2. And Smurfolite, Death Star, Tom plus Ewing, Smurf equals Culture wins. Oh, we forgot to get this one for Culture. There you go. See? And then the Jinx sends in $1.99 and says, "Yas, which poisoned the coven to frame the Jedi."
Well, entirely possible.
Yeah, probably. Asherman K sends in 20 Swedish krona and says, "KK hit bottom and began to dig all for her pride." Yeah, she's doubling down on this shit.
Oh, doubling, tripling,
quadrupling.
No, she's in the now.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what I was saying. Like, I don't know if you were on the show or not, Script, but like, I know you'd probably agree with this because I said, like, look, I don't think, obviously, most of these people are deliberately going out of their way to piss people off. They're not deliberately trying to be mean. They're not deliberately trying to destroy these franchises, except for maybe Russell T Davies and Kathleen Kennedy. And I don't mean they're deliberately trying to destroy them, but they are deliberately doing this shit that is destroying it, and they're doing it on purpose. Right.
Yeah,
at this point, they have both admitted it. Right.
Yeah, like not for that outcome. Like they're not expecting the outcome they're getting. That's the problem. Like they're just refusing to acknowledge that. That's the big difference.
I mean, like I said in the beginning,
we would love it. It would make things much easier if they were malicious, evil people doing this on purpose, because then we can point to them as the bad guy to fight and thwart. But unfortunately, it's not that simple. They think that they're doing good. They're ignoring their details themselves, or they're being shielded from it. And they're just going to keep perpetuating it because, as far as they know, in their world, things are going okay, or at least serviceable to the point where it's not costing them their jobs or any other consequences are coming their way. It's really tragic, but I mean, that's just the case. It makes things so much easier if we could just say, yes, they are deliberately doing this, because now why can't you do something? Well, because frankly, there is a lot of muddiness between them and us. And they're doing their stuff on purpose, but they're not doing it to destroy the franchise. They think they're actually doing something good for it. It's a state of delusion that cannot be shook right now with the current administration at Disney, because Disney's in the same pool.
Well, and their biggest mistake is obfuscating or trying to play this fucking game of, well, if you don't like it, then you're clearly this staphobe, right?
They're letting the news media do that for them. Like, that's the thing.
Yes, they are. But Kathy and other people have said specific things like this themselves. Now, she didn't specifically say certain things about fans, but she did say that there's actors who had been attacked, basically fueling this fire of this idea, right? And so we have a good idea of where this whole thing originated from now, is my point. And I've come to the point now where I used to think she was just kind of like, you know, off in La La Land doing her own shit and just letting these activists come in and destroy the company. But no, I strongly feel now she's facilitating it. And their problem is they don't see the stupidity of putting a statement out there like, well, if you don't like this, then you're a this, right? Because that's like saying, well, if you don't like this pizza, then you're a racist. It's like, well, wait a minute here, because just because somebody doesn't like something doesn't have anything to do with those things that you are considering to make them whatever istaphobe it is, right? It's just that stupid, and it's that asinine, and it's setting everything up to where they can try and call us these names again. It's the same fucking playbook. It's like, in 7 or 8 years, have you not learned anything? Have you not learned any new playbooks? Because even if you are this obviously self-aware of what you're doing, don't you think you change up your playbook a little bit? And that's when I finally come to the point where I agree with you on that. But again, these two individuals specifically have come out and said these things, that they are deliberately doing this stuff on purpose. And whether or not they give a shit about the consequences at this point is up in the air, because I don't think they really do. But I think you're right that they don't see how far spread this is going to get. And by just saying those kind of statements, you're painting a swath of people and generalizing them. And that's what's pissing people off. And they need somebody to turn around and tell them this. But unfortunately, like George Lucas before them, Kathleen Kennedy and Russell T. Davies are people who are powerful enough that they don't have anybody but yes men around them, or yes women.
Well, when they don't acknowledge the problem, there's no one to point it out. Because I agree with Script in the sense that they think they're doing good because they live in a bubble. They think that they
that's what I mean. They have those yes women and men around them telling them that. Exactly.
Yeah, they're telling them,
no understanding.
Yeah, a couple of actors are getting attacked, but it's not by fans. It's by trolls. It's by racists. It's by whatever. And then the media says, and then they say that to the media, and the media obfuscates that by saying they're calling the fans this because they want to. And then that's where you get the the murky lines there. Because listen, I've had a very difficult time trying to find a specific quote that has Kathleen Kennedy actually calling fans evil, bad, racist, islamophobes, or anything of that nature. She's expressed that there's been people that have been critical, that there's been difficulties, and that they've had actors that have been attacked. And guess what? Actors have been attacked, but not by Star Wars fans, by trolls. But the thing is, the media is not reporting that there's a distinction between the two, and that's where you get all the muddy details from. Because again, as a lot of these people that, like Kathleen Kennedy, when it comes to talking to the press, she is not a moron about it in the way that regular actors are when you see them on social media. She's actually very measured with her words. Russell T. Davies, different book. He's kind of going crazy. I give you that point, Tom, because what the heck is going on over there? But Kathleen Kennedy's been usually is pretty silent compared to everyone else that works at Star Wars and everybody else that's reporting on Star Wars by comparison. She's said less stuff in the last 10 years about Star Wars than George Lucas has in like 5. Like it's really kind of crazy to see how protected and how outside of reach she really is when it comes to this type of things. Like we only really see her speak at Star Wars Celebration and that one Oscar thing that they did, which was ridiculous.
Yeah. No, there's others that does the speaking instead, like random actors, or in this case, Grace Randolph, that seems to do the bidding on behalf of the studio. But,
or at least they present themselves that they are doing that, like, which is even worse, right? Because I mean, Disney's not going to say, "Hey, shut up." They're just going to be like, "Okay, we're not going to say anything at all."
Yeah, no, when it's someone that in her videos parrots all of the talking points and goes through, does the detailed analysis that could only have come straight from Lucasfilm, then someone in the marketing there has, I'm not going to say directed, but certainly suggested that this might be a good message to put out there.
Exactly. And that's even dumber. I mean, then that's marketing for you too. Current day marketing. They just don't know what to have to do, right?
Let's keep moving here. We got Kenny Long sending in $5. Is not watching any of this Disney version of Star Wars. I hope George Lucas is happy with his 30 pieces of silver. Thank you, Midnight's Edge panel. Thank you, Kenny. And we got Thunderstorm sending in $4.99. Says the holes in the writing aside, I think he means without the W. The fire, I guess, was supposed to be magic, probably using voice to text. That happens to me all the time. Without a visual explanation, the witches of Dothamir had the mist. Yeah. Yep. And then we got Chaos Sonic 1, who sends in 5 and says, I can't wait for the Shoe of the High Republic's cancellation cause of the failure.
Due to the failure of the Acolyte. Yeah. That series is a waste of paper in reference to the High Republic. Yeah, I'm amazed that the High Republic isn't selling already, or isn't canceled already. But I guess they already commissioned all of the authors. So, who cares that it doesn't actually sell anything?
They don't even carry them at Walmart anymore. Because I did see the first couple at Walmart. I've been checking. I have not seen one in a while. So whatever new ones they've come out with, they haven't been carrying them.
They're still at bookstores, but they are cheaper than a log for your fireplace. So I would say, there you go. That's for you.
That's true. Probably a lot less chemicals in them too, to get them started. We got this one already. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? We got this one next, who says Jaloja with 14 South African rands. Hashtag Star Trek saved. Go Sony. Yeah, we're gonna get into this in just a moment. I haven't heard any updates yet, but maybe Sony will make a play. Ryan sends in 20 euros and says, do I press play and subject myself to the third episode? I'm legitimately scared. Like it's the Faces of Death. Nah, Faces of Death are mostly fake.
And so is this show.
This is a real shit show. No.
That this is more propaganda, and you can just watch it as if you're an anthropologist. Don't see it as a Star Wars fan because this ain't Star Wars. If you want to check it out as a pure consider yourself a scientist. You're just doing an exploration to see how bad it can be. That's the attitude you want to go in with it with.
Yeah. And then we've got Hulk Hogan's Giant Taint. I guess it would be pretty big. Who says, listening to y'all while working. Sentences I'm hearing are hilarious. What the fuck? So said Star Wars and Star Trek have been destroyed. Love you all. Well, hopefully you don't get in trouble, Hulk. But thank you for listening. And we love your name.
We do appreciate it.
Then Jalo just sends in 14 South African Rand, says, these days I'm only interested in lesbians in HD and not in space, huh? Chaos Sonic 1 sends in 5, says, Tom, in the D&D campaign of the Acolyte and the straight man kissed the lesbian woman, making her straight Christian. Yeah, that would be me. That or I always come up with something goofy just to throw them off. MOOSE smells moose for $5, says Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Capital, etc. all own each other and all push pseudo-Marxist ideologies into Western culture. Very tired of it all. Yes, you pretty much hit the nail on the head as far as the main culprits of this. Shanatsky has been a member for 23 months. Thank you for the support. Almost 2 years. Midnight's, let's see, we go. Pinochet's Helicopter Tours, if I learned how to read, sends in a $2 Rumble rant and says, now we know what all those secret Davos, Bilderberg, Bohemian Grove meetings are like. A ripoff, I think it means ribe-off, maybe?
A ripoff of the Matrix, Zion, Raven, Star Wars.
Okay.
Gotcha. Probably. Yeah, and for some of them, a little bit eyes wide shut as well. But yeah.
And speaking of Rumble,
mostly it's just boring meetings.
Or Grumble, as we've been calling it, because the YouTubes don't like us when you say that. We have almost 1,000 people watching over there right now, so please hit the thumbs up.
We have more than 2,000 watching on the YouTube side.
Please hit the thumbs up here.
We have more than 3,000 watching. That's awesome.
Willie the Monkey King's Music sends in a 27-month member chat and says, hi, panel. It's very ironic how everyone is done with Star Wars, yet still debating aspects of the episode. Acolyte is so bad, why give it air? Well, I think at this point, frankly, this is like after something dies, you kind of got to dissect it. You know, I think now we've gotten to the root of the problems here. I mean, there's
that. And I also say 3,000 viewers across 2 platforms right now. That's a pretty good reason.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of hate watching. This is what Pro was getting at too, about how the numbers are probably going to bump up for part 3. But you can thank everybody who reviewed it early ahead of time, and like Alan Ing and Chris for kind of hinting that this is going to be where shit went off the rails. So I think that's another reason. So it's that whole watching a train wreck thing. Like, imagine it if somebody told you there was going to be a train wreck at this time at this place, the amount of people that would be there.
And also, there's a
not one of them would try to stop it, but everybody would be there.
Yeah, because here's like the thing. Right now, people are hurt because many are still very attached to Star Wars. It's still an open wound. Not everyone have gotten to the point where, oh, I'm just over with it. I don't care. It's completely dead to me. I'm done with it. Many are there, but many more aren't. And you know what? Many of those that aren't, that are still hurt, they feel schadenfreude. They want to see it go down in flames. And that's really what it is. So why give it air? Well, because it's a vital part of pop culture that has been destroyed and is in the process of being destroyed. There's still interest in it, so we're going to document the downfall, preserve for history exactly what was done here. Because if we don't cover this, how long until they try rewriting history? I mean, they do it already. Look at that Inverse article. It's rewriting history right now. So we got to make sure that we preserve what really went on from the actual non-bubble point of view.
Well, I mean, I think, yes, YouTube has got a lot of people that are just clumsily jumping on the train of this wreck. But there are individuals with expertise in different aspects of criticism that I'm finding really, really interesting. So, for instance, the massive, 2-hour, 3-hour little platoon takedown of Rebel Moon was just riveting. I mean, I didn't listen to it all at once, but
that's more entertaining than Rebel Moon was. See,
that's way more entertaining than Rebel Moon. And his take is very knowledgeable, very clear. And then you listen to Script Doctor's take and Gary at Nerdrotic and what you guys are doing here in Midnight's Edge. There's some very clear reason for making the criticism, and you're not just jumping on the bandwagon. And I think it's disingenuous to throw us all into the same pool of people who are just riding the wave. If I can't find something interesting to say and funny and entertaining, then I won't do it. But
to your point,
it is quite amazing. I mean, there's no doubt that there's interest in people listening to different individuals and their take on Acolyte. My numbers bear it out.
To be fair, there is some YouTubers who have built their careers on Star Wars, and I will thank the death of Star Wars for introducing me to a lot of the folks that I know on these shows and panels, and that you see me on and all that kind of business. But at the end of the day, we were around before Star Wars, and I hope we'll be around long after Star Wars at this point.
Well, at this point, we will be, I think.
Yeah, that's why I hedged it with that.
Yeah, and there's some properties that people are interested in, where Little Platoon told me that he couldn't get past 100,000 until he started digging in on Velma. And he said,
well,
he said, I felt completely dirty about it, but it took me over 100,000.
That's a pretty good Little Platoon. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was just going to say, that's the thing is, a lot of times these shows and events like this, you almost have to kind of do it for the audience in a way. It's kind of expected, but anyway.
I won't apologize for the people who are doing it just to jump on it. I can't apologize for them. I have my own responsibilities for my own audience.
Well, and it goes along with if we talk about something we like, nobody listens. Half the reason I didn't do a Bad Boys 4 stream Thursday night is I knew nobody'd show up. After they heard me in the first 5 minutes that I liked the movie, they just fuck off.
Yeah, but
it's normal. It's oh, so it's good. All right, then I don't want to hear anymore. You know, like that's the way most people are. And I'm
But
not trying to say
that's how
that
you build integrity, by doing the things that you like. Like I'm doing now the 1987 TV guide. It's not the most popular, but people
Sweet.
love it. So, but I'm in the middle of doing that, and you just keep doing that. But then again, I mean, I'm not chasing the numbers, and I feel badly for the YouTubers that are desperately trying to build a career on YouTube and chasing the numbers. It's horrible.
That is
I'm
a
kind of in the
very
middle.
risky game to play.
And I'm kind of in the middle of some of this stuff. Like I could sit here and watch the shows and bash on them all day like you guys do. But I like I said, to me, especially now with things like that happened with Klobby in the last few days, I try to use my time as usefully as possible. And the last thing I want to do is waste 3 hours of my life on a fucking show that I'm going to hate. And this kind of takes me back to my PTSD that I had from Star Trek Discovery. Because I flat out told Andre, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's detrimental to my health. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it is for the better of the channel. And then finally he's like, yeah, okay, you can stop watching it because nobody is watching it.
Yeah. You've been given permission to stop watching.
Well, I threatened him with the Geneva Convention, and then he kind of thought about it a little bit, but then he's still like, no. I don't know if that'll work, but yeah.
No, I was willing to fight Geneva. But when I saw, the audience, they don't care. There's no views in it or anything. When there's 10 people watching those videos, like fine, then
which is sad.
Then it's just not worth our time, and it's not me going to fight the Geneva conventions over it. So
and here's how you know when Star Wars is actually on its last leg, because I know where Star Trek is right now. It's on its last leg. You want to know how? Because we've got more leaks, more news, more scoops than we ever did before, and we've actually had people that are coming out to us in a way. Like, have you not noticed that we advertised the Star Trek game?
Yeah.
Like, they're so desperate now for fucking attention that they're coming to their enemies. Like, that's where it's at. It's like, we don't give a fuck what you say. Just talk about it.
Like, I even rejected a Star Trek sponsors pitch actually because it would not be in line with our brand to accept it.
Yeah. Like, at least we have that much dignity at that point. It's like, okay, we'd love to take your money, but that's like, no, come on.
Yeah. I would have taken it for just a regular like video game, like a 2-minute stuff before a video, but they wanted something else I'm not going to discuss. And
right, and that's another thing we will not compromise with. Yeah,
it was too much. There was too much compromise. So, but was approached. They were willing to pay, and they were willing to pay good, but
yeah, that's how you know when a franchise is truly dead. When Disney starts coming to us, then we know shit's at the end of the road.
We were even pre-approved.
Yeah, I'm not high up on the sponsorship, level, because the best sponsor ever approached me was a suppository. So
that was a good idea.
Yeah, no, it can be the face.
They know their audience.
Yeah.
Well, true.
You've sent me lots of pictures with weird shit up your ass. Come on.
I know. Yeah. Doncaster medical walkers.
I told you should come up with a.
I should get one of those stair lifter things. Seniors, just everything with senior sponsorship.
There you go. Well, I was gonna say you should do a coffee table book with just weird shit up your butt. It's just.
Well, that's got me. That's the comment that got me on trouble on X. So I got to be careful.
Yeah. So own it. Fuck it.
Own it.
That also might be next for Star Wars, probably. For that matter. But, yeah.
Well, so when I'm reading stuff on X that is so much viler than anything that I said, and
I still don't get it. I still don't get it.
You know what? It has completely calmed me down to not be on it. I'm very pleased. They did me a favor.
And then we got a couple of Rumble rants here I want to grab before I miss out. I think we got the first two already, and then we got one more from Pinochet's who says Ginny Nichols did a great 4-hour documentary on the Galaxy's Edge disaster. I heard about this. Now, she's somebody I have a rough time watching sometimes, but sometimes she does on accident kind of admit how you want to put it, like the failures of some of these things, even though she's kind of a shill in a way. But yeah, I don't know if you guys know who she is at all, but yeah.
Barely.
I know that she did like a 3-4 hour stream. Beyond that, I have no clue who she is. I have to be, if you're watching, sorry, but I have no clue.
If I remember, I think she got broke out big with, like, was it Channel Awesome? One of those
Nope,
situations.
she was doing her own thing, and
Was it?
and Screen Junkies.
Screen Junkies, that's the one. That's the one I was trying to think of.
She'd already had, like, I think a couple 10 million view videos, and that's what happened.
Yeah, she was already pretty big, but yeah. Then I think I became aware of her when she became part of, like, Screen Junkies or whatever, but yeah. But no, yeah, I've seen a few of her videos. She's one of the probably least annoying of the bunch, I guess. She kind of reminds me of, like, I always wonder if she's actually doing a shtick or if that's really how she talks. Like a Stephen Wright kind of bit.
Well, I'm sure many people wonder that about me, but yeah.
No, we know you're a robot. I created you an AI. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud.
You kind of sound like the white woman mother in Acolyte.
Well, you're not going with the whole idea that I'm the mastermind behind everything and everybody, and I'm Doomcock and Andre. I created them all with AIs, and I can control people. I can stop them from seeing Furiosa.
Yeah, you have that power.
That's what I was told by several people. This is my fault, and I could have made a difference.
Yep, you could have made a difference. It's completely your fault.
It is, because I ran against it. I have that much influence and power. You don't realize. But Shanatsky sends in $1.99, says Kotar 2's Kriya, if I'm saying that right, is what Hedlund thinks she's writing.
Yeah,
Probably.
Knights of the Old Republic 2's Kreia. So yeah, that's a game character then, presumably.
Yeah. Butter Biscuits in the house sends in $5, says please stop. No need for theories or argumentation. The show is what the show is. There's nothing clever about it. These people aren't smart enough for that. Oh yeah, probably.
That's really, I mean, you want an angle that surprises you, and you don't want to break the rules of physics, and you don't want to introduce something that wasn't introduced earlier, such as the fact that all these women are also fantastic archers. You don't just pull that out of nowhere. Go ahead, script.
You don't just pull it out of nothing. You have to have some sort of reason to make those choices.
Right.
And you have to convey that reason some way to the audience so that they understand it, ideally and not in a on-the-nose expositional fashion.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I would have imagined that arrows would have been easy to deflect by Jedi lightsabers, wouldn't they?
Well, we've seen it with the knives, so yeah, in this very series.
True, Knives Out. So yeah, it's although it did happen 16 years earlier.
Knives Out, dicks tucked. That's right.
There you go. There's the new title for the next Rain Johnson mystery.
Yep. It's about a trans killer.
Yeah. Yep.
Coding is all over it. Rod Thunderheart is in the house.
Hello, Rod.
I'm getting confused with Occupational Health and Safety Association is her name. I understand Tom's anger, but all the videos are at least entertaining. Yes. Well, you have Mayday, OSHA, and their long lost sister FEMA, as people have been saying. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we got Dearest here who sends in 2 and says, just be happy for Alan Ing. He's in Star Wars. He's in a Star Wars.
Oh my God.
But they made him look like a lesbian.
Yeah.
I mean, even more than normal. No. Bad News Badger sends in 50 Danish krona and says, can't remember what show I saw it on, but there was a comment about how May die in the end, and that going to be the origin for May the Force be with you. Oh shit. If they do that,
spoke about this earlier. That's
almost worse than the Solo name. Like if they go that far, that takes the cake for like worst.
Solo, I can't hear you.
Like that was to me like the biggest cringe moment at that point.
I
as
have
far as,
even
like,
forgotten about that, to be honest.
it's like, oh, you're by yourself. Okay, then you're Han Solo. It's like, oh my, seriously?
I mean, as far as this show is concerned, May and Osha have to reconcile. I think that's where they're heading, because
I don't know. The show is supposed to be a stick it to her sister show, so maybe
no. This is her. Yes, up to the point where I believe this is where Leslie Headland would like her relationship with her sister to be. I'd be very surprised. It's in a weird way, it's kind of an apology to her sister, I think.
Well, she said it's her way of telling her sister that she's right, like as in Leslie's right. So I don't know if I see where you're coming from, Paul, but I don't know if that's the case.
She can still make herself right and reconcile the two sisters based on her rules of what's right.
True, on her terms, yeah.
On her terms, and say, see, if you just listen to me, we would be happy together. That's what the ending could be.
You know what? I believe that. I can completely and totally believe that level of narcissism coming from someone like Leslie Headland, yes.
Then Packing Proton says, it was rumored that Paul Feig and Leslie Jones wrote the mean tweets directed at her. Disney isn't even bothering that much effort to prove anything. Well, here's the thing. Actually, no, I do know some of the tweets for Leslie were real because I was amongst some of those. She just went off like a fucking batshit crazy person. That was the problem. She should have just ignored a few of the people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying some of the people weren't being complete dickholes to her, but she fucking egged it on. See, that's the big thing there. Like, she should have just not responded. She made it worse.
Exactly right. No, she answered. And one should never answer or engage in that kind of stuff because no good can come from it. Certainly didn't in that case.
And then Packing Proton sends in another 10. Thank you so much for the support. It says Star Wars isn't so entrenched it can't be sold. My honest opinion, I do license fee for parks. Get rid of the show. No one is watching it on a streamer. Problem solved. They just don't want to sell it, sadly. Well, I mean, they'll never sell Star Wars at this point. They couldn't get what it was worth then for it technically. I mean, it was worth
at its peak. But you're also talking about a massive endeavor of physically removing or rebranding a bunch of physical structures in their parks, and that's going to cost more than it is to buy just for someone else to buy Star Wars.
It could be done. If there's a will, there's a way, but there's no will. That's like the thing. Nothing is for sale, and they are not in a position where they have to sell Star Wars. I mean, okay, fine. So they can say that because one thing is what it's actually worth to someone else, and then it's what they're willing to sell it for. And what they're going to say, what they would sell it for, is what they would sell it for. A hell of a lot more than what it's actually worth at the marketplace. And that precludes a sale happening right there.
Honestly, what would happen first brings us to our next super chat from Valor Comics. It sends in $2. He asks, should Apple buy Disney? Well, I don't know if Apple should buy Disney, but this is where I was going with this is nothing's going to change until somebody buys Disney out wholesale, right? Like that's the thing. Like, unless there's that's what I was getting at earlier, complete change of regime, complete new ownership, something along those lines. And I don't think they're going to just sell Star Wars or piecemeal out certain things. That's unlikely. Kind of like with the Sony Paramount deal we're going to talk, or the Skydance Paramount deal we're going to talk about here in just a minute. That's where we're at now.
Disney's a mess. And the thing is, I mean, just going back to the Acolyte, the basic idea of it isn't too bad. You know, you've got Detective Jedi, which, I mean, I don't know if they ever were, although Liam Neeson and McGregor kind of were. They were like cop Jedis in the first.
But they can't fight a war for you,
right?
But the thing is, this version of the Acolyte needed to be like they should have cribbed from the Bourne Identity. It should have just really whipped along. You know, and from that one clue to the next, and the one mystery, who's involved, that would have been super innovative in the Star Wars realm if they had merged those two concepts together. I would love to see something like that, a mashup like that, but they're just not creative enough to do it.
Yeah, they are kind of like more like CPS from what it sounds like.
They take Star Wars with too much reverence.
Mm.
In a lot of ways, they make it somnolent. It's got this pace.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're treating it too highbrow when they forgot that this is supposed to be Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and shit like that. Yeah,
they're giving it the epic veneer without realizing that it became epic because it was so fun.
Correct, and the fact that they were riffing off of Ming the Merciless. I mean, that's what this was all about. This is where it all started. So yeah, I could see, a really good, fast-paced mystery. Born.
They should do like a Jedi CSI show. That'd be more interesting, probably.
Totally agree.
Like just checking into things like they would have done normally, kind of giving us more of an idea of what they're supposed to be doing than what George gave us. Because honestly, that was kind of not a very good.
Well, I mean, you do have to surprise the audience and not destroy the franchise.
Yeah, and then we got Mike and Ayers who says, calling it now, the Bad Twins is as a subconscious force projections of OSHA's violation. Trinity faked her death while being the big bad. Yeah, there is rumors that she might pop up again in later episodes, whether it's a vision or a flashback or, nobody really ever is dead kind of thing. But I was kind of talking about this too, because Leslie had brought this up and some other people were throwing this thing around about like how the sister might be some sort of Fight Club thing situation. But somebody said that other people have seen them together, so that didn't work. I didn't think about the force projection thing at all.
Oh, I mentioned that last week.
Did you? I wasn't paying attention because you were talking about fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
So why the hell would I be paying attention? Tyrannicus says with $20, so if women creates a life using the force, that actually makes the force her partner male. Mother is black and OSHA and are mixed race, so that makes the force white. So Disney made the force straight, white, and male. Tyrannicus, I like this line of thinking. It's kind of like the whole non-binary thing.
My biggest question that they didn't answer in the most recent episode is, how does the white mother not go through a ton of pillows?
Because none of these people have children themselves.
No, she has spikes on her head. They'd be ripping up
that's too. Well.
Thank you.
Yes, he got the Packing Proton sends in $2, says wokeness equals regressiveness and also insanity. Well, eventually regressiveness leads to insanity. Your brain regresses to that point. Douglas A. Burton sends in $4.99, says prediction, Shmi Skywalker will be part of the witch coven who created Anakin and her partner was killed by a Jedi. Don't put it past him, Doug. Although it was supposed to be implied that it was either Plagueis or Palpatine were the ones who actually created Anakin.
Yeah, and one of those can still be like that shadowy figure we saw in the first episode.
Oh, there was a shadowy figure? Then of course it's going to be Plagueis or Palpatine.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, again, Star Wars lore is not my best thing, but who were the parents of Luke and Leia?
Of
Anakin
course it was
Padme
and Anakin. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
And let's be real.
Plagueis.
Well, let's be real. Shmi actually went on a date with Bill Cosby. This is the story she just tells everybody.
Right.
Yes, of course. Yes. My brain went nuts there. How did I not? How did I lose that?
Of course.
Anakin. You were probably thinking about Anakin, where the question now would make more sense.
Yeah.
And again, that's the Plagueis connection.
Okay, that's
during episode, what was it, 3 or 2?
Episode 3.
He while they're at the opera thingy, he implies that Plagueis and Palpatine figured out how to create life with the Force, which also then again retcons that, unless they're going to try and tie it in with Plagueis somehow, like we said, and which implies, they're not specific, but it implies that either Plagueis or Palpatine were the ones that quote unquote created Anakin through the Force.
But is it 2-ply or 3-plies?
No, it's a single
3-ply.
because if Palpatine could create Anakin through the Force, there would be no reason to save him on Mustafar. He could just make another kid. Because again, he's in charge of the Empire.
Which is why I think Plagueis did it.
Which is why Plagueis is the one that did it, and Plagueis did it just before Palpatine killed him, possibly because Plagueis
could even be the reason.
Information from Palpatine, and then Palpatine, when he meets Anakin on in Episode 1 at the very end, he's like, "Oh, we'll be looking over at you with great interest."
Now, there's the story I want to see where Plagueis and him are like together doing their thing, and there you go. That's an interesting idea script. Like, have the whole thing come down to why did he kill Plagueis? Because he found out that Plagueis just created his fucking replacement, right?
Yeah.
And you set it up that Palpatine fucked up somehow. He's like, you're incompetent and I can't trust you. I need to create a perfect Sith. You're not that.
I think it'd be one more thing where he's like, Plagueis is like, let's mess with the Jedi because they have this prophecy, and let's just do it ourselves and make the prophecy our own. And that's
that's something where Palpatine would come up because he's a calculated fucking politician. Yeah. See, that's more along his lines of thinking. But we don't know anything about Plagueis. That's the thing. We just know very little. So outside of what's in the EU besides that. So, yeah. But no, that's a more interesting story. What you just said right there, if that was this show, I'd actually watch it. Because that's something I've always been curious about.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Like finding Palpatine, training him, realizing, this guy is going to kill. This guy is not the best apprentice I could have had for what he wants to do. And he makes Anakin on the Outer Rim where the Jedi would never find him. And
or Palpatine for that matter.
Palpatine gets upset that he is not being informed or shared the knowledge that Plagueis has recently accrued, and so he kills him for it, and hoping to find it in his notes. And it's something that Plagueis never wrote down or archived. And their Palpatine is now, well, screw this. I'm all right. I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm going to get into the Senate, going to do my own stuff. And then all of a sudden, this little boy shows up, and he's like, "Wait a minute! I sense that you're freaking Plagueis. You're Plagueis' kid." Like. Well, I'm going to use you the way Plagueis was going to use you, but for my own power, not his. And there you have. That's your inciting incident. However, I will say, because George Lucas brought in that idea of creating a child through the Force, it's not exclusive to Plagueis. Any other Jedi could eventually do it. There's no reason for it not to be that case, because that's just how
they needed to establish as the power of the dark side, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing else to say that a regular Jedi, a good Jedi, could do it themselves. If they wanted a child, they could.
Right, because that's what I was saying, that's where like the Jedi kind of specify that, yes, the Jedi and the Sith aren't much different, except for the Sith do it much quicker and they manipulate and use the Force and pervert it, as opposed to the Jedi who work with it. Right. So that's kind of where you have to explain it, that like, yeah, you can create life with the Force, but that's a manipulation. Then it's also like what do you want to call it? A bastardization or whatever of the Force, making it a perversion of the Force, whatever, making it dark, of the dark arts. And that's where I also have an issue with adding a gray element to it's either one or the other. That's the problem with the Jedi and the Sith to begin with. That's the whole point of the prequels. Like, that's one thing I will give George, is that he did get, but it's not hit home well enough, is that they're both fucking hypocritical fucking groups of people, the Sith and the Jedi, right? And that's where Anakin's stuck in the middle. That's why you can't have a gray fucking Jedi. It makes no goddamn sense, because he had to pick one or the other. There's only absolutes in this, because even Obi-Wan is kind of wrong at the end when he's like, Sith only deal in absolutes. Like, well, so do Jedi, motherfucker. It's like, it's either you're one or the other, the light or the dark. It's like everything in between is a person. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, to this idea that there's some middle ground doesn't work. It just doesn't. And that's where what's his face come in, Christopher Lee, right? And we learned his character couldn't be a middle Jedi. He ended up becoming a Sith because there is no middle ground.
Well, the middle ground is not entertaining.
Well, that too. It's more of this type of mentality that they try to shove into this shit, right? It's like I always say about how they don't fundamentally understand what makes a hero and a villain them, one or the other. But yeah. Anyway, that being said, let's move along. We got some more super chats, and we got some Paramount news to talk about. Last Millennial sends in $4.99, says, if someone were to try and buy Star Wars, would Disney give it in to offer at 8 billion, 10 billion, 14 billion? I mean, surely at 20 billion, Disney would take the offer, right? Okay. I guess if you want to play devil's advocate, if somebody did come in with an offer like that, basically, they probably would have to take it because it's their fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah, they would have to at that point. They would have.
But that's how big
billion,
it would have to be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because then you would have to. It would be such that they cannot not accept
Right.
it. So for 20 billion, they would sell. But there's no one that's going to offer 20 billion for a dead franchise that is Star Wars, and you will never ever see that money again. Case in point, Disney has already paid 4.05 billion for Star Wars. They overpaid, and they're still not in the green for that.
And now that you brought that up, I'm glad, because I was just going to say, like, let's just play devil's advocate and say somebody like, I would love to see somebody like Elon come in and dance around the idea of buying Star Wars from Disney and initially giving them some sort of offer that would make them like bite. And then after he digs into shit and realizes how much they've lost with the franchise, backs out of the deal. So we publicly know for a fact how much they've lost, because that's the thing. I believe Pro and Valiant and all those guys who've done the math and everybody who can just kind of sit down and do the cursory scratch math in their head. Like, wait a minute, they spent this much on the franchise, they spent this much on the parks, and they haven't made a dime except for Force Awakens, if you think about it. And even the Force Awakens, as we find out now, they didn't really make as much as they say they did, because that movie cost $500 and some million.
Well,
right?
you do have to factor in the number of people that might be coming into the parks due to the fact that they have those properties in the parks, that they would have gotten some plus out of that. In fact, I'm certain they did at the beginning.
All of that was lost in the Galaxy Hotel.
Yeah, because they spent, what was it on
$1 billion loss right there.
Yeah.
So no.
But they were doing quite well in the parks with the Disney rides.
With the Galaxy's Edge?
With the Star Wars rides.
Yeah, but they sunk so much into Star Cruiser and everything else that whatever profit they may have squeaked by with, that's what I'm saying is like, I bet you there's no profit here. They're definitely in the red. Because even Forbes and some of these other papers that are finally starting to admit that this was a bad investment for them, or they've done screwed this up.
Because Disney just does not seem to be desperate enough financially. They're making money someplace.
Oh yeah, they're still making money through some of the princess stuff and certain things in the parks, but even the parks are starting to fall off because more people are going to Universal and stuff. But Last Millennial sends in $1.99 and says, "I feel like Disney would take a 20." Yeah, they would have to. Last Millennial, they would absolutely have to at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll fess up. I'll buy it.
Please do. No, actually, I'd rather see you take on Star Trek. To be honest with you, Paul, I think you could save that and help that.
I could probably save Star Trek.
Yeah, I think between you, Robert Meyer Burnett, and Script Doctor, you got her dicked.
We'd have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, and you just have me come in and do funny alien voices. Me and my monkey says $5. What do you get? What do you get apart from witches and Disney Star Wars? More Disney Star Wars witches. Okay, I think you meant to put something else in there, but yes.
What do you get apart from witches in Disney Star Wars? More Disney Star Wars witches. Yeah.
No, he was right. I was just reading it wrong. Grand Inquisitor says with 5, I'm old enough to remember one Star Wars actress getting attacked on social media and Disney fired her. Weird.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. But hey, there's no standard like double standard.
Yeah, and she actually is her case is being, well, they're trying to get a dismissal, Disney is, but we're going to find that out today if that goes through or not.
I wish she was a better actress.
Wait, actress or producer?
Pardon me?
I thought it was a producer that got fired.
No, we're talking about, I thought he meant Gina.
He is talking about Gina.
I'm just saying I wish Gina was a better actress and could have made a career.
I think she was progressing just fine. I think that
she was okay.
She didn't need to be any more actress for that particular role.
Not for that role.
It was written for,
and that's what I'm saying. She was getting better and better. Yeah,
for that. Yeah,
I would say there was even an improvement between season 1 and 2.
Yes, I would say so too. Yeah, no, I think she found her groove.
Well, and that's how most actors in this kind of, especially action stars, they have to kind of grow into the acting. I mean, look at like John Cena and a lot of those other wrestler turned actors. How long did it take for them to, finally? Even Bautista's a great example of that, right? He's come full fledged from being they had to cut most of his shit out of the first Guardians of the Galaxy because it sucked, to now getting offered dramatic roles and shit.
He's good. He's
gotten a lot better. Yeah. Sometimes they just take some little time. And I think Gina would have been progressed much faster and she would have done just fine had she not gotten blacklisted. Butter Biscuit sends in 5, says every week you talk about whether it's intentional or not. After a decade, it doesn't matter. Everything is destroyed and they keep doing it. Well, that's true too. But it is a point to be made that these people are not out there trying to do this shit deliberately. But anyway, Stone Racket says, I canceled Disney Plus 3 years ago, but I still have it for free for some reason. Yeah, so do I. But I still refuse to watch Lesbian Headlamp's latest bit of trash. I only turn it on when there's like something like Let It Be. I want to check out that Beach Boys documentary, but otherwise I could give a shit. Thunderstorm sent in 499 says they have no special effects showing the witches' powers like the witches of Dothamir. Where did the 180 million go? Well, half of it probably went in the producers' pockets.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer there.
And they love making good-looking women ugly. The woman who played the wife with the spiky head, if you take a look at her actress pics, she's gorgeous. But they just gotta make them ugly.
Yeah, anything other than that, of course, that would be very problematic. If you portray an attractive woman as attractive, can't do that.
Which is weird because Hollywood used to be all about trying to make everybody look better, and now they're just trying to make everybody look worse. Like, I don't get it. It's like, why hire all these pretty people just to make them look ugly?
Oh, and if you go to the heyday of Hollywood, heaven help you if you made one of the stars, female stars of the time,
exactly
stunning.
Well, that's what I mean,
God.
right?
There would be hell to pay.
Well, I mean, even somebody like a great example would be like Marilyn Monroe was somebody who they tried to manufacture into this.
I'm not talking about her. I don't think she was
no. But I'm
full of her career. But you take Lauren Bacall or someone like that who would absolutely freak out.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. I'm just
especially.
saying. Yeah, Faye Dunaway is another one. But there used to be this idea of the leading lady or any lady in films, no matter what they looked like, they still tried to make them look their best, right? But anyway, that being said, we got Ninja Master who says, Andre is the AI that has taken over and enslaved his creator. Now get back to work, Tom. Pretty much. This is true. I even write reviews for him.
Our story follows Ellen Brody, who believes that a shark is targeting her family out of revenge. Like it's the Godfather and they massacred his boy. The shark has a vendetta. I'm no marine biologist, but not so sure that's how the force works.
Anyway, yeah. See, I can make him say anything I want.
Right.
Yeah, in a Swedish accent.
Yeah, he says it's Swedish, but nobody else notices but him and I and Mikey.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
I do believe that we missed a super chat there from
Did we?
Chris K. Yes, we did. We had it on screen, but we didn't read it.
Oh, that's my fault. Chris K says, hail to the panel. Don't subject yourselves to any more. Oh, yeah. I had to have this on screen. Sorry about that. Any more of the Acolyte. Your health is more important. Andre, what metal wisdom do you have for us this week? Oh,
let's see. Yes,
metal.
actually, I have something, especially if you are in the UK. You are in luck. Next year, Pantera will be going on their first UK tour for, I believe, 25 years, something like that. They haven't been touring for years.
They let them out of the old folks' home?
They did. Only goes to show, right, that the most popular and the best live gigs are still the old boys. And Pantera will be giving you a new opportunity to see them live come next year. So, yeah, I may have to go to the UK for that. I was never a big Pantera fan, but such an important part of metal history that I might have to.
And Deep Purple has got a new album produced by Bob Ezrin with Gillian at the vocals, and it's pretty damn good.
Wow, awesome.
It does not sound like imitation Deep Purple. It goes, oh, okay. These guys are rocking it pretty good.
It sounds like a new actual album from Deep Purple.
It's a real new actual album, and it's good.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's two pieces of metal goodness this week. Plus, we have a third one, also has to do with touring. Megadeth is currently touring Europe. So any fans out there, now's your chance.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kristen. I'm sorry for jumping over that. That was my fault. Let's see. Then we had, let's see here. Calhoun, who says, none of this is real. None of this is canon. The only canon is in the expanded universe. We are just waiting to see how Janus story continues. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know that.
Yeah. And then we got John Evan Bear, who says Shredder, says this.
I just brought back some takeout, so let's dig in and pig out on turtle soup.
There you go.
Good old Shredder.
But I want to kill the turtles.
Yeah, then he turned into a whiny little bitch. F14 Sabretooth Raptor says Mexican Iron Man could buy Star Wars from Disney.
Star Trek.
Oh, does he mean Discovery? Okay. Dividend if it's worthless. I'm not sure what he means there exactly, but one or the other, he could buy them if the dividend is worthless, I think is what he's saying.
Mexican Iron Man.
Yeah, that I got.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Star Trek.
From his from
his Disney dividend, if it's worthless.
He means Star Wars. I was right to begin with. Disney dividend if it's worthless. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much longer he's going to be hanging on to his Disney. Wait, he's like, dang it, Bobbin. Petersky sends in €5 and says the episode didn't destroy Star Wars for me any more than it already was. It was just meh. Not sure what the whole outrage is about. Chris G overhyped it. Maybe. I don't know. Jill Power says, saw the trailer for Dragon Age, the Valguardian.
This is a new video game, is it not? I believe
yes.
I have seen some headlines
from BioWare.
But I've been too preoccupied with actually watching this stuff and doing videos about it.
BioWare is long dead.
So it's another zombie brand, is what we're saying.
It's a zombie brand, yeah. It's all the
then last millennial says Tom it's actually Palpatine that tried to manipulate the Force and create Dark Force user, and 3-Force responded by creating and the Force responded by creating Anakin. That could be as well. I would love to hear that story. I think that's something that was brought up in the EU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, the EU's been a mess ever since the prequels anyway. So
well, and then I always had that theory that we would find out that Baby Yoda or Grogu, whatever you want to call him, because his age-wise, I always speculated that maybe in this new Star Wars universe that we have now in Disney, that he actually was created as well by the Force in response to Anakin. Was always my theory that we were going to find out.
I wanted to see Baby Grogu's parents on Parent Night.
Yeah. Know this child I do not. Claim him I do not. No support from me you will get. Yaddle, never heard of her. Heard of her I have not, sorry.
That marks bad.
Or a condom I should have. Anyway, oops. Petersky also sends in €2 and says Smilo Ren will turn out to be a young Plagueis. You know, you guys, I thought you were fucking joking that this was his name.
No.
I thought you guys were kidding.
No, there's a Plagueis.
No, Smilo Ren.
Smilo Ren.
Like, I thought, because I saw the one picture of the guy or whatever, and it looked like he kind of had a Kylo Ren mask, but it looked like he almost had like one of those, like whatever it is they did to his mask, kind of looks like he's got a smile or whatever. So I thought that's why you guys were calling him Smilo Ren, like it was a fake name. I didn't realize that was his real name. That is bad.
I had no idea.
This is like Mad Magazine.
Yeah. Mad.
Oh man, that's how bad these names are now. But anyway, we got to keep rolling here. Actually, you know what? We're going to put a pin in the super chats because we got to talk about something real quick before we lose these two gentlemen, because they're going to be leaving us shortly. The Paramount Skydance merger has fallen apart. Sherry has walked away. There's a lot of speculation going around what is going on with Sherry and why she's doing this. And the big reason that some people are saying she's doing this is because she does not get it in writing that the shareholders can sue her, to protect her from that. And she is also speculatively not too happy that Skydance also won't sign an agreement that they won't split up things down the road, because that's the other thing that's going on is like Sony has put in their offer, but the thing is everybody's worried that Sony can't buy CBS because it's Japanese owned, and that's where Apollo comes in. And that's also the rumor going around that why Warner Brothers is still interested in, and they're only interested in CBS, I guess. So this is a whole big mess. So I don't know if you guys have been following it or not, but Sherry walked away from the table yesterday. Even Bob Backish was fired over the whole negotiations with Skydance to begin with a while back. So have you guys been keeping up with it? Have you been following it? I'm really curious what you guys think.
The latest rumor is that Redstone doesn't want to involve a merger. She wants a buyout, and it's been speculated that the reason she wants a buyout is that's a lot faster than a merger, and that the merger will bring complications that will delay the actual transition of power. She wants something quick and instant and out, and that's why she walked away. And she's willing to entertain Sony, but I think she's only doing that to basically get a third party to come in and make a better offer for her, because she's, again, right now, Deadline is reporting this as well, that she doesn't want to deal with the merger because, to your point, it might speculate a separation of whatever that merger acquires of Paramount, and then that merger itself might get separated as well, which means that everything is all kind of destroyed and in pieces of what she has, what she and her father have built. So it looks like there's something else going on there.
Paul, have you been keeping up with this all? Any observations on this?
I have none. I don't know anything about it.
So Andre, have you been keeping up with this at all?
A little bit, and I really don't have anything more to add than what you have just covered here. It seems like the problem here obviously is Shari, and it seems to me that she may be demanding things that she is not in a position to demand.
Yeah,
because if there was a bidder that was going to give her all of the stuff that she wanted, where is that bidder now? Because she has all these stipulations. She wants this much money, and then she wants protection from shareholder lawsuits, which tells me that it's very, very plausible that they may be coming, because this has been ran so poorly.
Right.
Because she needed to step in and do something sooner. So this is on her. She has screwed this thing up. And then she also wants to dictate what they can and cannot do after a possible merger or sale has gone through. I mean, that's kind of like a Kinder egg. That's 3 wishes all at the same time. And typically in the realm of business or anything really, whenever you have 3 things that you want, you can only get 2 of them at any one given time. And I think that's kind of like what we're dealing here, and that is why Skydance are walking away. They are not willing to give her all of the things that she wants, because she probably has not a leg to stand on. She has no reason to ask for these things. And if they walk, who else is going to come in and give her what she wants? If there was any other interested buyer that would give her all of the things she wanted, they would have been there already. There would have been a bidding war. But there's no bidding war. You think that Sony is going to be able to come up with a better offer than Skydance? Well, maybe they'll give her 2 of the other things, but they're not going to be able to pay any more money than Skydance is. So then she's going to have to bulk on that. Maybe they'll agree to not sue later on, but then the price is going to come down even more.
Yeah, and if Sony takes it, they're going to have to split it up. My understanding, because they won't allow them to have CBS anyway, and that's the other thing that I guess she's having a big bitch fit about.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing to me is logical in this is the woman is not wanting for money. She's got all the money in the world.
No, and I think Andre's hitting on is sorry.
The point is that I think personally she does not want to be presiding over her dad's fire sale.
Possibly, but what is Andre's getting at, and what, or at least I was going to go with it, was I think she's thinking this company is worth a hell of a lot more than it really is. I think she's delusional.
Yeah,
I think she has not realized how bad things have gotten.
Yeah,
where CBS isn't worth half of what it used to be. Paramount isn't worth diddly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she, to her, to leave this in worse shape than what she got it from her dad, I think is a hurtful loss for her, because she doesn't need money. It's reputation, as
it's about legacy for her.
It's legacy,
exactly.
Reputation. She's not wanting for money. She's got all the money she needs, and then some. It's reputation.
Yeah.
So, but
I agree with that, and unfortunately, that is something that's going to harm her reputation even more, because she's asking for something that she's just not going to get.
Nope.
In breaking news, though, Sony just bought Alamo Drafthouse, so they're making moves.
Well, that'll make things more complicated with trying to make a merger with Paramount then.
Yeah, they were looking at just buying them out, though. I don't think they were looking at merging at all. Sony's offer was a buyout. But they backed off because I think they learned that they couldn't get CBS.
Yeah.
And Apollo was the one who was going to take on CBS, but I think they also backed out because I think you guys are all correct. Going back to the initial point, is that Sherry wasn't willing to split the two up, because that's the way it would have to be, is that Sony would take on Paramount and an American company would have to buy CBS.
Well, and is the way these things tend to go. If Skydance bought it, the first thing I would do is just sell practically everything I possibly could.
Well, and Warner has been kind of just sitting quietly, and Valiant and I have talked about it. There's been a lot of speculation going around that Zaslav wants CBS. He could give a shit about Paramount. He just wants CBS because that has the NFL deals with it. And that's possibly why they let the NBA deals go. Because as we know, the NBA has been sliding down this cliff, but the NFL is still the topmost of the popmost when it comes to sports. And what was that? Go ahead.
Because of gambling.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, just in ratings, all that business alone, like, yeah, it's still the biggest of all a bunch. But yeah, this is going to get interesting. I'll be curious to see if, some other people start making plays, like maybe Apple or somebody else, because, it's going to get interesting, because Paramount is still, for all intents and purposes, as far as we're talking, still one of the last studios standing from the original studios. So until they get either soaked up in some sort of merger or bought out in some way by somebody bigger, then that still holds true. So like, there's a hope for it. And I hope whoever does take it over treats it that way, because that's one thing that Sherry and her father have not done in the last 30, 40 years, is treat Paramount like it deserves to be treated. Because there was a time when, under Bob Evans and all those guys, even, throughout the 70s and 80s and into the 90s, where Paramount was one of the more prestigious, better companies out there, on both television and film, for that matter. So like, yeah, hopefully they can come back to their glory days, but it's going to take somebody with a grand vision to come in and take them over, basically.
I'll say. With
that, we got to, I think, do we have any more super chats for Paulie or Script here? We got.
I will check, because I know that.
I know we had one for Script offhand for sure. While you're looking for Paul or Script, Packing Proton says Script thinks way more about this than they do. Yeah, but he's not wrong. I want to know if Shmi was chosen and why, or was it totally random? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, that's probably one thing that would kind of help a little bit, is if she did have some connection to the witches, I guess. But at this point, what difference does it fucking make?
Yeah.
Just having eating witch sects is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Accident Seller says, for 50 Norwegian krona, Chato, we finally have window tiling and snapping management in Mac OS Sequoia. This
I've
is
seen-
in itself a better story than the entire Disney Star Wars lore.
Yeah, getting snapping management and Mac OS is taken way too long. What a silly omission. So there you go.
Oops. Sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah, and then you have SFX 4314 Saber Tooth Raptor saying for $5, if you bought Star Trek, Robert Meyer Burnett direct script, writer, Chato showrunner, Mexican Iron Man cast as Captain, culture, Dr. Tom, alien voices, new show idea. Yeah, it would certainly be better than anything.
And it wouldn't be a fucking prequel.
That it also would not be.
No, it would not.
If anything, we go 1,000 more years into the future.
Not quite 1,000. It's
I
got
was
to
just
be.
saying.
It's got to be enough that we can believe the technology. We go too far, then there's no way where we're going to be able to really envision.
That's what Discovery did.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went so far. Like the galaxy got even smaller than how it was left when Berman era ended. Like that's the thing. You got to keep that galaxy big.
And that's where whether it's 100 years, 1,000 years, I don't give a shit. My point is, and Script knows where I'm coming from. Prequels, rebootquels, midquels, whatever the fuck you want to call them in middles. Anything that goes backwards is a bad idea. Anything that makes your universe smaller is a bad idea.
Yep.
You just got to keep expanding and make it bigger. That's why TNG worked. Why? Because there's absolutely zero fucking connection to the original show.
Yeah. I would make
the ship. Right.
I would make the show that, Script is a phenomenal Star Trek expert. But I would try to make the show more fiscally relevant, that stuff is worth things, that someone has paid, some organization has budgeted for bits and pieces of this star cruiser, this starship, and because there's just no value, there's no capitalism in any of this. They just have an endless supply of money to make these vessels. And I would just love to add that bit of reality to it, because again, science fiction has changed.
Well, the brilliance of Star Trek is that you can actually write a story in any time frame. You just don't have to make it dependent on the other Star Trek franchises. You could do a show called Lexington, which takes place the same year as Kirk, but you just never bring up Kirk. You never bring up the Enterprise. You do their own thing. It works just fine.
That's the only exception.
Yeah. I mean, this is what drives me nuts.
The franchise is designed. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you can have two businesses, an automotive business and a satellite manufacturer, and neither of these two companies know anything about each other.
Right.
Like that exists on Earth right now.
Right. Well, and that's why I like the Orville, because it felt like it was a show that took place during the same era as TNG, but it was just a different part of the, crew. Like they were the lower level crew, like, the ass end crew. Like, yeah. But anyway, Packing Proton says
about each other.
No.
Right.
And Packing Proton says, didn't Sherry do a lot of work to merge Paramount back and try to fix broken Star Trek writers and the like? Well, I don't know about the broken Star Trek writers, but she sure did try to merge Paramount back. And it just didn't work. She failed completely on so many levels. But this is something we've covered endlessly on our old videos.
She did a lot of work to make the remerger happen. She did nothing to fix the broken Star Trek writers. No, she did nothing.
Or the rest of the studio. She got it together, and then she's like, okay, I'm done. It's like, no, you got to renovate after that.
And that's where I argue Skydance would be one of the worst things to happen, because it would just be more of the same.
I can give you one example, a parallel of what Shari did. Think of when Elon Musk bought Twitter. It was a whole big deal to get it in the first place, and then once he had it, that's when the real job began of transforming it, right?
Yeah.
Shari, she did that first thing. She did all of the stuff that was necessary to bring the two corporations into one. And when that was done, that was when the real job was about to begin. That's when she bailed.
She became an underwear gnome at that moment, yes.
Yeah.
But there you go. And then, do you guys got a few more minutes? We can just run through the rest of these if you do.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
go.
Let's do it. Okay,
Last
speed
Millennial
run.
says with 499, Plagueis did not create Anakin. He tried to manipulate the Force and Force retaliated by creating Anakin. Read the Grand Experiment on Star Wars Wiki. Well, I don't do homework. If it's not in a movie, I don't give a shit. Yeah, fair enough.
But thanks for the input.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, last call with Troy Pacelli says with a member chat for just as a milestone. There we go. Thank you. Bad News Banter sends with 50 Danish krona. Whenever I see Star Wars related topics in Midnight's Edge stream, my brain goes, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm here to talk to you again." That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Last call with Troy Pacelli did send in a super chat and says the Force makes you pregnant. Force contraception. Oh. Yes, indeed. Jason Webster says, sad to see how far Paramount has fallen. However, combination of ownership and management errors over the years caused their current predicament. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Packing Proton says with $2, meant rights, not writers. My bad.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, okay.
The
she
rights.
Didn't have to do
Gotcha.
with the Star Trek rights.
And she really didn't unfuck the Star Trek rights. That's the other problem, right, Andre? I mean, she didn't really do anything to fix that.
No, that's exactly it. She didn't do anything. She brought the corporations together, and then she basically said, okay, I'm done for the day, and she didn't come back again. That's when the job really needed to begin, and she did nothing.
Yeah, and see, the problem there was, there was the separation in Star Trek was still kind of present because of the JJ deal. And then Jesus Davila gifted a membership and sent in his member chat to remind you to smash that like if you're enjoying the stream. Yes, indeed, with over 1,600 people watching on this side of things and around 630 plus watching on Rumble, please hit the like button. Let them guys know that you enjoy the show. Hell, if you didn't like the show, hit the downvote. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, let us know in the comments why you didn't, so we can do better.
You can yell at me some more. I don't care.
And when you're coming back again,
you can tell me it's my fault. I fucked up Furiosa for everybody. I don't care. With that, Script Doctor has a Patreon, and he also has a show on Saturdays called Saturdays with Script Doctor. Or Scripts with. Oh fuck! What is it called?
Scripts on Saturdays.
Scripts on Saturdays. That's what it is.
So good. It's such a great show to listen to.
One of these days, I might pop into one of those, and if we can come up with something. But yes, because I've been wanting to talk to you about getting back on our other show we used to do at that time. But yeah.
Oh yeah, the A-rated B movies and B-rated A movies.
Yeah, well, we got to find a new slot for that. But anyway, anything else you want to promote?
No, that's all I got.
Safe sex. Okay. Paul, anything you want to promote?
Later on today, hopefully, I will be publishing Acolyte episode 3.
Oh my.
That's right. Space.
The echo lighting.
Yeah, Star Whores.
No, that'd be much more entertaining. I've seen that porno. That's right.
Still trying to come up with a title, Oven Oven. Oh, nice. Ucha.
Actually, that's the porno.
I was also thinking of Crispy Coven and the Witches of Nitwits. So
I like the last one. I like the
Witches of Nitwits. Okay.
Can you come up with something like Witches of Eastwick too? Might work because that's what Witches of Nitwits
kind of
reminds. Yeah.
Nitwits.
I kind of like that one. That's me though. Accident Seller sends in 20 Norwegian krona. Says, how did the entire stone temple catch fire in just minutes? It's flammable stone. It's like charcoal.
Yeah. It's flammable
and with
stone.
That, this show is charcoal. That's right. It's toast. We're done. Put a fork in us. Thank you so much, kids, for hopping in today. We appreciate it. And do check out Midnight's Edge Espanol. They're going to go live here in just a few minutes. Show some love for Klobby. Please help out his family right now. If Andre doesn't have it in the description, I'm sure he will. But the link has been shared, I believe, by the mods. Thank you for that and all the help that you do give us. We appreciate it. And yes, Pauly Shore did follow me yesterday. So who knows where that'll go. Yeah, buddy. And he did like he did like a tweet where I said something about having him on too, but I reached out to him and haven't heard back from him yet. So we'll have to see. Maybe I got to get a hold of his people. I still have his comedy albums. Like that's how lame I am. Anyway, thanks so much again, guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you next time. And it's time for
some koalas in the rain.
And balloons. Look, balloons. They're gone.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas in the rain.